I mean, I haven't promoted it. Like, I didn't even tweet it or anything, so we'll just see what happens here.
No, I was going to say, at some point, I'll talk some shit, and then you can probably tweet it out, put it out there. But like I said, it's going to work itself out. I ain't worried about it. All right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media. Envisioning excellence on a global scale.
As the Phoenix rises from the ashes, it's time to fly. Welcome back to the Phoenix Splash Podcast. I'm one of your humble hosts, JCB, Jason Cornelius Bell, 1/3 of the band from Ringside Podcast. And over there in Louisville, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky now, just moved. He's gotten closer. We're going to see each other in a week for AEW. Your boy can't wait. Big Sexy, Brett Jager from the Brainbuster Boys. What's going on? Tell me something good, baby boy.
Yeah, you just said it all. I'm here in Louisville. I moved, getting a fresh start under my belt, and we'll be at Dynamite in St. Louis in 9 days. So, and we got a lot of
baby.
We got so much shit. Oh, God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I know. I didn't even trip off of that until I saw the Rampage. I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to be there. His first match.
They haven't announced the opponent yet, have they?
They haven't announced the opponent yet.
But
doesn't matter. Different story.
We got more to talk about. We got so much good shit to talk about that we forgot the whole Amazing Stardom show from, I mean, I guess it's been over 2 weeks now. And we were talking right before we hit the button here that we'd been on like a 2-week cadence, and with my move and just how these shows were spaced out, we're like, let's give it, we were going to go wait till after the New Japan Cup final, which is tomorrow, but here we are, and this is it's going to be a ball.
No, I was getting ready to say, I totally agree with that because, my shit is absolutely crazy with 2 jobs. You just moved from city to city. So, yeah, it was definitely a moment where I wanted to get it through all the way through the New Japan Cup final so we could talk about the whole shebang and then kind of preview Genesis, but neither here nor there. That will be for the next episode because I know I got some thoughts on that, but we'll talk about that as we move along into the New Japan Cup. We're not going to talk about match to match because that would take forever because we would talk about that ad nauseum, but just some bullet points for this episode of the Phoenix Splash Podcast. We're going to talk about, obviously, the New Japan Cup. We're going to talk about the 3-4 show from Stardom, the Triangle Derby final, where you had, I won't even say the names, but the Red Block winner and the Blue Block winner, they matched up to figure out who is going to win the first Triangle Derby final. We're going to go back over to Japan, I guess, for lack of a better word, to Yokohama, where we're going to see if Jake Lee can shock the world and defeat Kaito Kiyomiya for the GHC Heavyweight Championship. And then we're going to finish it up with a little Grand Princess from TJPW. I think we don't do enough with TJPW, but they had one of their biggest shows of the year.
I was going to say, mate, one of the best shows of the year thus far, I'd say.
And one of their biggest shows of the year. This is one of the shows that I started watching this time last year. They got me hooked. So the second time around, I was like, okay, it feels like this is all cool. It's like, I've come full circle with TJPW. And then at the end, we have a very interesting homework assignment that Brett dropped in my lap. God bless this dude. I don't know where the fuck he comes up with this shit. I'm laying on my couch. I'm watching this. I'm like, man, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I'm loving it. It's so good. I shouldn't like it, but I love it so much. But we would finish up with the pod with that. But let's get into it with the little New Japan Cup. And I wasn't sure whose music I was going to go with until right around, make sure I say this date right, the 17th of March. Is right when I figured this guy's music would be the music I would come up with. Not saying saying he's going to win it, but I'm damn sure saying that Sonata has gotten a lot more interesting as this tournament goes along. So, obviously, we haven't talked about any of this tournament, so let's just start at the top with one Sonata. As the LIJ fan of the group, Sonata was always an enigma to me. He always felt like he was going to come up one step too short. He got to the New Japan Cup final, lost to Okada at the end. So it always seemed like one step forward, two steps back. Won the U.S. title, got his face broke by Ospreay, and was out on the shelf for months. Came back, lost again. You know, always seemed like something was missing with Sonata. His opening round match was against Tai Chi, a common opponent, somebody that he had many a battle in the past. I was thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be an interesting start. To Sonata, you know, I'm kind of waiting for him to slip on the banana peel at any point. And to start off, it was not looking good. It was kind of where Tai Chi was kind of waiting for Sonata.
He was whipping his ass.
And talking shit on top of it, you know, when you know you gonna come back, you gonna fight me or what? So I'm sitting there like, man, I can't. But what the fuck is going on? And for whatever reason, I guess a light switch is turned on Sonata, and now everything has changed. Sonata beat Tai Chi, has gone on a good roll. Obviously, he had to meet Naito at one point. I believe that was the quarterfinal. It was quarterfinal match on 317, and. Like I said, I am a huge LIJ mark. I'm even a bigger Naito mark. I damn near cried when I saw him in Edwardsville, but another story for another time. I knew that this match was going to happen, and when I found out the final was going to be in Sonata's hometown, I kind of was like, okay, Jason, get ready because this thing could easily happen, which it did. No problem with that. Sonata beats Naito in the quarterfinal, goes on to the semifinals, and we'll talk about that more as we go along. But the post-match was the angle.
Yes.
And I didn't see it coming. And I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. Am I mad about it? Because, like, when Evil left LIJ, I was instantly pissed. I mean, I remember where I was in my bed. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I mean, you cannot do this to my boy. You getting ready to you going to the Bullet Club. Oh, kiss my ass. I couldn't stand Evil. When Sonata left to go to just 4 guys to become just 5 guys, first things first, we got to change that name. Just
Burgers
5 guys.
fries,
I know
baby.
It might not mean anything in Japan. We got to change that name. I know it don't mean shit over in Japan, but when I think of just 5 guys, I'm thinking burgers and fries, baby. And that ain't going to be, that just does not feel like a faction name and I should be scared of. You know, United Empire, Los Ingobernables de Japón, you know, Bullet Club, just 5 guys. Doesn't work. Okay, that's on the board, number 1. Number 2 is what Sonata said post-match, which kind of made it, at least the flip made sense. I can't go any further when I'm in Naito's corner. Okay, I get it. Do I agree with it? Not so much, but I'll save that for a little bit. I've filibustered so much. What's your thoughts on the Sonata run and then the flip on for Sonata on Naito?
Yeah. So if we go back to our last episode when we were making our predictions with this, you know, Tai Chi was definitely a name we mentioned a lot of. Sonata wasn't even in the fucking conversation because, like you said, he'd been losing and just not really a focal point. We talked a lot about Tai Chi Sonata history. Both those guys coming up in All Japan. They've had great matches together. They've always been kind of like frenemies. There's always been a weird thing between them. And like you said, Tai Chi woke his ass up. And then once Sonata won that, even before he joined the Burgers and Fries team, I said, this motherfucker's going to win this thing or at least go to the finals because, you know, we'll get through a lot of it. But it just seemed to me that spot was like, okay. And despite Will Ospreay's injury, which I'm not convinced is 100% real, yeah, we'll get to that. But I think Sonata at least made sense. the just 5 guys, I did see it coming. I guess we probably talked about it a little bit, not really necessarily like him jumping ship right now, but maybe down the line that there could be something like that. Definitely didn't see it coming right now for sure.
Right.
Like, right after that match. I would have thought like maybe Sonata wins the cup and then they kind of form or whatever. But just to come out with Naito in the ring and basically say, "Get the fuck out of my ring."
Of my ring. That was the one time I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, what the fuck is this motherfucker just saying?
Taichi's just like giving him a hand motion, like, "Get out of here." And then get the fuck out of my ring. Shingo was more mad than anybody.
Right, he was ready to go.
I think it's because he just fucking hates Taichi after their feud, but like nobody else seemed too bent out of shape about it. And maybe that's indicative of where Sonata's been, and kind of like, I don't want to say a non-factor because he's not, but always falling short of the potential. Like you said, he's a bit of an enigma. The Japanese crowds love him, but like, he's just not always clicking. I mean, he's had some incredible matches with Okada and, a slew of plenty of other good matches over the years, but he could just never really break through that glass ceiling.
Mm.
But then let's talk about his look when he came out for the next match. Fresh, clean shaven, new haircut, like, it's a different guy. New gear.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I mean,
Now all of a sudden you all brand new and shit. You want to jump ship and you want to get all cleaned up for your boy Taichi, huh? Man, now I'm slowly, like, you see myself turning over to, like, fuck Sonata. I can't stand that motherfucker. No, it's like any other heel turn, babyface turn. Like, the things have to change. I'm not saying that you got to change his music. I hope they don't change his music. I personally like it. But, his look visibly changed. All black, clean shade.
Significantly, too.
Right, yeah, to where now he's even more handsome than he was beforehand. I'm like, look at this clean motherfucker. I can't believe this shit.
I just wanted to kiss his little cheek.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say just pinch his little cheek, say pretty little bastard. No, in this scenario, I have no problem with this. I guess my first knee-jerk reaction, because Naito was backstage and I wanted to hear what he had to say, honestly, before anybody else. And he said something really poignant. He was like, it's real hard to get out of LIJ, but it's real easy to leave. And if Sonata wants to leave, he can leave. So I think that he kind of just expressed everybody else's kind of like, okay, motherfucker, you want to dip? Okay, that's fine. It's kind of fucked up how you did it, but okay, we're going to go ahead and let you go. I
still got Shingo over here, motherfucker. So
And then, ultimately, and then that's the next point. He was like, if he really thinks leaving LIJ, going to Burgers and Fries is going to make that much a difference, let's look at Shingo. Shingo's been in the title picture basically since he's come over here. And that's when I was like, okay, great point. And I'm not even saying just in non-kayfabe, booking of Sonata has been an issue. Are we going to be able to sit here and say, we're going to book Sonata in a scenario where he could beat Okada? I don't know about all that. Do I agree that Burgers and Fries needs a front man? Yes, they do. Taichi probably ain't that dude. I'm not sure Sonata's that dude.
Whoa. I think Taichi is that dude. But
is he?
They, in my eyes, yes. They needed another heavyweight, though. Because there's essentially Taichi and then Doki and Kanemaru. Like, Taka, if he's going to wrestle, it's just going to be in these multiple tags.
Yeah, then he's going to eat the pit.
I kind of hope they're kind of like they're like co-leaders, like, I don't know. They're both kind of on the same level. Sonata probably a touch higher in terms of just the success he's had, but Taichi can motherfucking go. And how about those glasses he had on? Should we just join just 5 guys in GLG? Just merge?
I don't know about that. I was going to say GLG feels like they're a little higher right about now.
Doki looking jacked as fuck. Taka with his leather. Kanemaru with his leather. They all looked fucking great, and I'm happy to see it. Again, Sonata, LIJ fandom aside, like, he needed this for sure. Like, he had been stale as old ass bread for like 2+ years. Really, he had that feud with Evil.
I agree.
through COVID that he did get the Wrestle Kingdom win, but like frankly, who remembers that anymore? And like, I don't know. He needed
until you said it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he needed a fresh coat of paint, as they say, and this is great. And if you don't have anything else to say, I say we go again, or let's talk about his finals opponent, Mr. Dave Finlay.
You stole my thunder on that one. Because to me, that's the second biggest
absolutely
story of the New Japan Cup is one David Finlay. Obviously, not knowing he was going to be a part of the Bullet Club before the actual tournament got started. I think if we knew he was going to be a Bullet Club member, it'd have been a little easier to forecast how far he was going to go. And this is not a knock against David Finlay, because we talked about this before. He had a chance to win the G1 block at the final day, and unfortunately, that didn't work. He had a nice little run in last year's New Japan Cup. That fell short. So in this scenario, I think kind of very similar to Sonata. When you flip, you're going to have a different character look, and then B, I would assume that the booking is going to be different, at least reinforcing said heel flip, or in this case, reinforcing the move, the Bullet Club. Obviously, he's going on to the finals. He beats Ishii in the first round on 3-6. He comes back and beats Great O'Khan after Great O'Khan gets a bye, which is, I'm not a huge fan of that, but neither here nor there. Beats Shota on 3-18. Really good match. And then on, obviously, 3-19, he beat Tama Tonga in the semifinal to advance to the final. Let's talk about David Finlay. The fact that he's, I guess, the quote-unquote de facto Bullet Club leader, and let's talk about his New Japan run in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's not forget that I picked him to win before we knew he would be a part of Bullet Club. So I'm going to.
You did.
However, I do think Sonata's going to win now. But I could
really
flip a coin. I mean, we'll get there, but I could really see this going either way, and I love it. Like I said earlier, all of this is so fresh. I guess that was before we recorded, but like, who would have fucking thought, even before this tournament started, that we'd have a Final Four of Sonata, Mark Davis, which there were some circumstances involved, but motherfucker deserved it and earned it. We'll get there. David Finlay, and who was the fourth? Tama Tonga, which, like, he's kind of been getting elevated, but like compared to last year where it was Naito, Okada, Shingo, and ZSJ, or Ospreay and ZSJ. I can't remember which one of those was first, but it's worked and it's been great. But yeah, I think Finlay's been awesome. He's played the character so well. I did watch. It was one of the first shows where he tagged with ELP against ESJ and Kosei Fujita, where they were just having their bullshit, but it was awesome. And like right. ELP, I could maybe see. I know I'm jumping ahead, but maybe we get a David Finlay versus ELP. Either winner leads Bullet Club or loser leaves Bullet Club. Because then we had, after the Tama match, ELP was on commentary, and he's been fucking killing it. He's so good.
So good.
But he's like, yeah, win the match and you're in Bullet Club. And he gave him the 2 sweep, but like there's some friction there. But that was such a cool way to kind of kick off this run for Finlay. But I think he's played the part so well. He's changed his look, obviously, new music. He's got Gato with this fucking duster, which is just Gato's new look is killing me when he gets the shillelagh as well.
The bloody hands, Gato. I'm like, damn, that's so good.
A rebel! We all need a fucking rebel! He's just dropping F-bombs left and right. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I'm liking this Gato.
But yeah, I've enjoyed all the matches. I think the Tama Tonga one was my favorite. I thought that was an incredible semifinal. Like, both guys had something to prove.
Agreed.
Like 17 minutes, and they just left it all out there, and I thought it was excellent. One of my favorite matches of the tournament. But the Ishii match was obviously really good, and that was like, kind of the first big test. It's like, he's going to win this after kind of what happened at the Battle in the Valley. But Ishii is going to give him every motherfucking thing he can handle.
Amen.
And the opponents he's gone through have all been very different. Great Khan, he's very unique out there. He's the champion of the British. So does that not earn the man a bye?
It did get him the bye,
I know, but you weren't too happy about it.
I'm not sure what they're doing with Great Khan, and I'll try to make this short and sweet. My expectation bar is here, and the booking is here. And even though he's the Rev Pro champion, that doesn't really seem to translate, if at all, over to New Japan. I don't know how much it really should, if at all. So, I mean, I'm just kind of like, I expected him to at least win one match. Yeah. But once again, seeing David Finlay in the way, I get it. Yeah. So I'm not like, crestfallen over it. I'm just kind of like, man, damn,
Yep.
Man got to buy champ. He's going to, lose the first match. All right, whatever. I'm just the guy watching.
But the United Empire has been put over fucking massively, and we'll get there next because I think that's definitely story number 3. But continuing the Shota match, which you said was very good, and like we've seen an excellent side of Shota Umino this tournament for sure. And then the Tama match. So he's done it against very different opponents. He's looked impressive the whole way through. He's got that heel shit down. Like, it's like he's been doing it his whole fucking life. I mean, he's
talking that shit.
He's slipped right in, and he's been a natural. I mean, this is a guy who's been on the fucking sidelines. That was his whole promo. He's been on the sidelines by and large, compared to a guy like Jay White, who he came up with side by side, and he was given every opportunity. David Finlay was not given those opportunities, but he has proved that he has deserved it, and he has lived up to the billing and then some. Yeah, I've been very impressed and really enjoyed watching it, despite my pick of him. Like, take that out of the way. Like, it's been good to see.
Right. No, I'll say this, and then we can move on to the United Empire getting some flowers. I didn't see David Finlay flipping on Jay White, but if you watch New Japan religiously like you and I do, there were certain signs that were planted that if you stop and look back, this flip was going to happen. It was just a matter of time. He came out with a show months ago, kind of threatened people with it, but never really hit anybody with it. Now, all of a sudden, he had that New Japan Cup run. This is where all of a sudden this is the most I've ever heard David Finlay talk, and he's talking mad shit. Yeah. To his credit, had a great New Japan run. G1's kind of the same thing. Now he's already kind of like set it on the foundation of, just talking shit like a good heel does, always talking. Kevin Owens is a great example of that. Monday Night Raw is in the background.
Let's remember real quick, not to cut you off, but you might have been getting there, so maybe I am cutting you off. But the U.S. title match with Ospreay, he was the heel. Plain and simple. Like, even though he probably came in as the baby face, once he hit that motherfucker on the hand on the table, he played heel that whole fucking way, and
that's heel shit. That's heel shit 101.
That's a 5-star match for me, and he fucking nailed it. So yeah, I think keep going. But yeah, he's been great. If you kind of made my point, is that people are like, I don't understand why he's the heel. I don't understand why he's, part of Bullet Club. Look, just on the second part of being Bullet Club, I wasn't even a huge Jay White guy when he joined Bullet Club. Yeah. And he won me over. I'm going to give David Finlay that chance. So far, so good. He's winning me over. Now, I just need to somehow, if somehow they haven't said it, I just need somebody to say he's the leader of the Bullet Club, and then let's see the story unfold from that point. Because obviously ELP ain't having it, but others are just stepping in line, like Chase, Kenta, everybody else is, trying to play peacemaker, while ELP is like, no, fuck that. This wasn't the plan. And now you have, once again, Bullet Club friction. Now, I'll ask you this. ELP, obviously not a fan of I was going to say Chase Owens, of David Finlay and vice versa. You suggested a loser leaves Bullet Club match. Obviously, I would think if they had that match, ELP would be the one to lose. Correct.
if they had that match and he lost, where would you like to see ELP go?
I got 3 more letters for you.
No, you ain't.
L-I-J.
Okay. I thought you were going to say GLG.
I wish I did now, but no. Let's be real here. Shingo's already his daddy. They've got a heavyweight spot. I literally didn't even think about it till you just asked me, and it just hit. It's like he and Shingo kind of already had, it was a rivalry, but there was some goofs and some fun in there. He seems to fit that vibe of what that group is. I think
that's what I was thinking.
They haven't had a Gaijin before, have they? Well, I guess if you count Teton,
no.
But a Western American, Canadian, whatever, a white guy.
No. Right, exactly. But, no, okay. Teton is about as close as you getting at this point.
Yeah, and ELP has definitely been trending babyface the last, 3-4 months or so. Like, yeah, he's in Bullet Club, but, he hasn't really done much nefarious stuff. He's clearly anti-Finley, who is a huge heel. He's very fucking funny on commentary. Yeah. Shit, I can see it. I don't necessarily want or need any more new factions because we've got Strong Style, we've got Just Five Guys, Burgers and Fries, and that's all working very, very well. United Empire is as robust as possible, but what better place to fit him in than the place that just lost a fucking heavyweight, upper mid-card guy? And I think that's what ELP is and should be, and yeah, what do you think about that?
No, I love it. I totally agree with that. It wasn't even my idea. Somebody floated it on Twitter, and I was kind of like,
"Oh, I hadn't."
That kind of makes sense.
I hadn't seen or thought about it till right this second, and I think I just talked myself into it.
No, you totally talked me into it. Now I want to see it happen. Let's talk United Empire specifically. A couple of guys, Aussie Open, who are amazing as a tag team. I think they are going to probably get a tag team title match at the end of the tour, probably on, if not tomorrow morning. My guess would probably be the Genesis card on 4-8, which probably makes more sense. You could build up to it, which would probably be the smarter way to go. Either way, I would assume Bishamon and Aussie Open are going to wrestle for the tag team titles. However, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis were entered in the New Japan Cup, and my initial thought process was, okay, this is cool, new blood. Not expecting much from either or, just good to see fresh faces like you've talked about before in the New Japan Cup. Let's see what they can do. Surprise! Man! Okay, I was about to say, no disrespect to Yoshihashi, really good match. I thought Kyle Fletcher was amazing in that match. He really stepped up to the plate in a scenario where I thought Yoshihashi was going to go over. I kind of expected him to go over, and he didn't. I thought him and Goto had a really good match. That's where I was like, okay, this is where I think Kyle Fletcher's probably going to have to lose. There's no way in hell they're going to have one of Aussie Open beat the tag team champions, even in separate singles matches. Not going to happen. To me, the bigger story, unfortunately, is Mark Davis. Obviously, Mark Davis, like I said, the other man entered in the New Japan Cup from Aussie Open, beat Yano, thank God, in round 1. You have no idea how much I was like, if you don't beat this motherfucker, I'm going to kill you.
Because I floated out the idea of Yano beating Ospreay.
I'm like, no. If somebody's beating Ospreay, it needs to be one of his countrymen, his faction mates, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that was the main reason. I mean, that's the scary part. Yano is like Naito.
I was going to say, Dunkzilla
put that to rest.
He put that to rest right away.
And did it in a way that you usually don't. No, it's in a way that you usually don't see it, where it felt like he kind of outsmarted Yano towards the end, and crushed him and got the win. And then obviously the match that kind of changes the tournament, good, bad, and indifferent, is his second round match against Will Ospreay. Ospreay coming in, I believe he had the bye. Yeah, he had a bye coming in, so this was his first match. And this was one of the better matches of the tournament. I don't think it was the match of the tournament. I'll hold off on that towards the end, but this was probably, I have it as a top 4.25 rated. I have it at 4.25 for the record. That's sick. 4.25 stars for the record. I thought this was a really good match. It highlighted Mark Davis against one of the best wrestlers in the world. Just in ring. I'm not talking about Mike. I'm talking about you set the ring up and you put two guys in, and one of them is Will Ospreay. That's one of the best wrestlers in the world. And Mark Davis came off looking amazing. Took the L, but came away looking amazing. Where I'm thinking to myself, man, I would love to see him in the G1. Man, I would love to see Kyle Fletcher in the G1. Shit, they could, And I'm like, I'm already have them as going singles, but I'm like, wait, hang on, man.
They're one of the best tag teams
in the world. Wait a minute. Stop it. Let's just get
wrong. You're not wrong. They deserve to be in a G1.
And that's the scary part about it is that I want to see how they get booked moving forward. Are they still going to be booked as a tag team? Because World Tag League for them is a lock. G1 is obviously the next big tournament that we're going to have coming up. I would love to see either or be in that tournament, even if it meant that Aussie Open had to take a break for a while, but neither here nor there. Will Ospreay does get hurt in this match in a kind of a weird spot where Mark Davis puts the mat over Will Ospreay and does a senton on him, hurts his shoulder. We're going to talk about maybe the myth of Will Ospreay being hurt here in 30 seconds, but let's just give the flowers to Aussie Open. Please go right ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, you said it all, but both guys just hit grand slams. Not only in the ring, but on commentary, too.
Mark Davis is better than I thought, and Kyle Fletcher is funny as fuck.
Yes, but, man, I did not see this coming at all. I did pick Fletcher to beat Yoshihashi because I thought that would mean, okay, that gives them an easy play for the tag team titles. But, again, he gave Goto everything he could handle. I went 4 and 4 1/4 on those two, respectively.
Yep.
But yeah, Davis, does he not remind you of a young Will Ospreay? Like he's got that tall, kind of lean figure. I don't know.
You talk about Kyle Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher, yes, not Mark.
I'm still like, not really. I'm thinking about Mark Davis doing a suicide dive. I'm like, nah, that ain't the same look.
But like apparently Fletcher's grown 4 or 5 inches in the last few, because he's 24. From when he started, has gotten a lot taller. But anyway, he's a freak athlete, a ton of charisma. Man, and then Mark Davis, dump truck, Dunkzilla. What can you say about the guy? I know they've been using the Stan Hansen comparisons, and that is spot on. I don't know how much Stan Hansen you've seen, but this motherfucker is doing a great job being himself, but, channeling those vibes. But, yeah.
I was going to say Stan Hansen didn't do the athletic moves that Mark Davis can do, and I think that kind of makes it even more impressive of what his moveset is, what he can do, and what his future possibly can hold. He came off a knee injury. He tore his ACL and he's back and he's doing this. That's, to me, is amazing just to think about where he was to where he is. Go ahead.
That pile driver that he does where he picks him up off the ground and throws him up and catches him.
He snatches him up.
One of the coolest moves I've ever seen. It's just so sweet.
I was watching the semifinal with him and Sonata, and it's not like I haven't seen the move. I've seen it plenty. He's done it, probably in all 3 matches, and every fucking time I pop, I'm just like, oh my God, that just looks horrible. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's so, and they were on the ROH show last week, or I guess it was 2 weeks ago. I was watching it with my roommate, and he'd obviously never seen it, and it was just like, God, these guys are fucking awesome. But yeah,
they're on the way.
A tag team, like I said, top 6 in the world. We don't need to run through them all. They're 6 at worst. 6 at worst.
Yes, yeah, and that would be hard to come up with 5 more that are better than them.
How these motherfuckers are unsigned as well. What the fuck? If New Japan hasn't already put good money contracts in front of them, Tony Khan's about to fucking steal them, and let's be honest, they belong and deserve to be in New Japan. So get that done.
Please and thank you.
Whatever,
yes.
Whatever your name is, I can't remember, but Obari. Yeah, whomever.
I was getting ready to say, note to self, sign Aussie Open. Stat.
For 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, well, however you need to do it, but
they are future tag team champions, and they deserve to be tag team champions for maybe they hold it from Sakura to the G1, and then they do the G1. Who knows? But I think they're both future singles champions. Yeah, like I loved these guys a ton coming into this, and I couldn't have thought I could have liked them that much more, and it's significant.
Yeah, I was going to say they are one of the big stories coming out of this tournament for sure.
God, and like I said, both guys I thought were excellent on commentary, which just I haven't heard them cut a ton of promos, but just with how good and natural they were there, like they can do it. Let's talk about Aaron Henare getting one of the biggest wins over Shingo. Like that was
surprise.
Another 4.25 top 3-4 match of the tournament for me.
I gave it 4 stars, but I mean we're in the same ballpark.
Fucking loved it. Like just Henare had kind of been on the doorstep of a big win like that. I mean he's got I can't remember who he beat in the G1. I know he got a decent victory. Tanahashi, that's right. Which a win over Tanahashi isn't quite what it was, but
it's hey, put that joker in your pocket, man. Yeah. Go to the pay window.
Yeah, but this was very impressive. Then who did he lose to? Tama, I think it was. Tama, right? Which was a very solid match, but not. I mean, he and Shingo obviously just complement. Henare, if he's in there with another hard hitter, that's when he's going to excel the most. Also, what about how great he's looked coming out with those incredibly short, tight shorts? And he was killing me on commentary because he was so dry.
Yes.
He was cracking up every time like it was the Kenta Sonata match, which was a fuck fest. And Red Shoes got taken out like 3 times, and I'm
like, dude, just get out of the ring. Just get the fuck out of the ring. Okay, goddamn.
Henare was just geeking out the whole time. It was killing me because he was just laughing his ass off. And then Jeff Cobb on commentary, I thought was amazing.
Oh, Jeff Cobb backstage calling out Kenny Omega. Yes.
I mean, that's been building since Jan 5.
I was getting ready to say that's got to be that 4H show too, because obviously Kenny's wrapping up whatever he's doing with the Elite and the 6-man nonsense. That should give them enough time to where you can bring Jeff Cobb over, have him jump Kenny, and then Kenny's like, fuck that. You ain't just going to be jumping me. We're going to, wrestle at Genesis on 4-8. That's my guess.
I think it has to be because, I mean, there's really not even been hardly a mention of Kenny or the U.S. title on New Japan programming, let alone AEW. I mean, he brings the belt out, but it's so overshadowed by the trio stuff, like you said. But little sidebar, at least we get Kenny Vikingo this week, which oh my god! But is that his first singles match, at least on television, since the Ospreay match? I can't recall.
I want to say yes, but don't quote me on that.
I can't recall one. I know he wrestled Hagane Shino on AEW Dark, which that guy was just in a tight Choco Pro match against Bali Yanaki. But
look at you just name dropping, you son of a bitch.
But we need Kenny back in singles action and back in Japan, and Kenny versus Jeff Cobb would be something special, no doubt about it. What about how little, real quick, what about how little, at least tall, height-wise, Cobb looks compared to the rest of that group? He looks like a fucking chode out there.
Yeah, but he's the guy that can throw somebody in the 5th row. So, I mean, ultimately, you can hang out as far as I'm concerned.
It's just very him next to Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher looks like he's 2 feet taller than him. And
dude, he's just Kyle Fletcher's a lanky-ass dude. Yeah. Okay?
That one show, he had the pineapple shirt and just the what is it?
The Hank's head or whatever, yeah. That motherfucker is crazy. I'm not going to let you off the hook because you dropped a little nugget about you're saying that this injury to Will Ospreay might not be an injury. So go ahead, Give us your conspiracy theory. Why do you think this Will Ospreay injury is not an injury?
I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying it might not be. But like we said, going back to what
you're like the Negro Damas of this podcast so far. A lot of the shit you're saying is true and has come to pass. So that's why I want to get, if you're going to say this, I want to get this on record, because if it comes to pass again, that might be your running nickname moving forward on this pod. But please, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't think we'd ever know for sure if that really is the case. But really, my thought process goes back to when we were previewing it, and it's like, who the fuck is Ospreay going to lose to? He's so over and protected.
Right.
Like we've said from day one on this podcast, we're staring down the barrel of he and Okada at Wrestle Kingdom winning the G1. I could be way off on that, but it just feels.
I don't think you are.
It just feels so right. So just looking at the bracket, and like we said, he's not going to win because he's not going to wrestle Okada now. So who's going to take him out? That's why I thought it was Azar, my buddy, who initially brought up the idea of Yano, which he can score a fluke win over anyone, so it makes sense. I guess you could talk me into Evil, beating him, because similarly, House of Torture can gang up and beat anyone. But
for sure.
Just when that injury was announced, just part of me was like, that's a convenient way to get Ospreay out of this tournament. So, again, I'm not saying it's what happened, but, maybe the injury was a little, maybe it was something where he could have kept going, but it's like, we'll just protect me here. But I don't know. Just
I'll throw a little gasoline on that fire. I do remember Kevin Kelly in one of the, pre-shows, I want to say pre-shows, but, one of the 10-man tags or whatever the case may be, they were talking about, Will Ospreay was saying that it wasn't anything serious, that rehab and rest was the prescription to get him back to being healthy. Okay. So for me, it was like, a sigh of relief. It's like when Nolan Arenado got hit last night on the hand. I'm like, oh, no. Don't do this. Oh, it's negative. Okay, everybody can breathe. That big gust around 10 o'clock Central Standard Time was, St. Louis taking a big sigh of relief when that news came out. To me, this is kind of the same thing. I felt like that. But now that you're saying this, at least the dots connect. It makes sense.
Yeah.
If you want to give Mark Davis, who ends up taking the baton from Will Ospreay and, runs with it, beats Evil, thank God, and then, has a really good match versus Sonata, ultimately losing, which makes sense too. Okay, I'm not good. I guess what I'm looking for is there's a match with him and Mike Bailey at the end of the month. I think it's the Multitude of Matches Impact show. I think it's on a Thursday night.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if he makes it back for that, now I'm willing to jump on board with, this dude was sandbagging some shit.
Yeah.
If he's not back for that, then, it might be something a little more legit than what we initially had thought.
For sure. Yeah. If he doesn't have that match, then my theory goes right out the window. But the first thing when I heard that, I said to Azar, thoughts that this injury might be might not a work, but just a reason to get him out. And he agreed that it could be at least possible. But maybe I'm just overthinking all this shit.
No, I love the conspiracy theory.
Ospreay is just in such a position right now where he just can't be taking too many losses, because he lost every big match last year. And for him to get back up to that spot, he needs to not do that. So I don't know, just something. The first thing that crossed my mind when that happened was, convenient.
Couple things before we go to Stardom. I want to talk about Bishamon versus Okada and Tanahashi on 36. We had talked about this before on the last Phoenix Splash podcast, how this felt really random, where Okada just beat Tanahashi, but now wants Tanahashi to be his tag team partner and go against his faction mate in Chaos in Bishamon. So it was just a weird way to get a tag team title match there, but I have to admit, it works. 4.25 from your boy over here. I didn't think they being Okada and Tanahashi had a chance, but slowly they were reeling me in. Like, these motherfuckers might actually win this shit. Wait a minute. Tanahashi jumping all shit. Now you got Okada dropping the elbow. It was better than I thought it would be. I thought Bishamon would just take care of business, and I'm using take care of business in quotes, and win the match. I didn't think they would squash Okada and Tanahashi, but it was a lot closer than anticipated. Like I said, I gave it 4 1/4.
I'm kind of the other way. I thought Okada and Tanahashi would win, so you better fucking believe I was fired up. I just thought this was an amazing tag team match. Like, what, it went like 20 minutes, 21 minutes. High pace from the get-go. And just the teamwork, really, it came down to Goto and Yoshihashi being a team. And I know Kevin Kelly mentioned it. It's like, Yoshihashi knows where he's going to be before, doesn't even have to look. Like, the announcers did a great job of adding to the story of that match because that's what it was. And yeah, I thought it was unbelievable. Yeah, I went 4 3/4 on it, man. I gave it what Azar and I call the mark bump, where you bump it up.
Oh yeah.
If you get a result that you like or what have you. So.
Trust. I know what that is. Now you don't get some love from me when certain times you get some love from me.
It's a top 10 match of the year for me so far. Maybe I'm getting so far into this Bishamon markdom, but I'm having a ball with it. And yeah, I just thought, again, seeing those two guys beat the two biggest single stars, arguably, in the history of the company was pretty rewarding. I thought it was very cool.
No, I had said when they had beat FTR, that was kind of their crowning achievement. They were the best tag team. Well, not were, but are the best tag team in New Japan. And now you just had to figure out how you keep this ball rolling. This was a good way to keep this ball rolling, even though they're two single stars. Because like you said, they're arguably the two biggest single stars in New Japan. Let's just say in the last 20 years. Let's just make it simple. We ain't going to make this into a knockdown, drag out argument about, you forgot about, Antonio Inoki or whatever the case may be. We ain't going to do that. I'll just say the last 20 years. When you had those two together, who really don't work well together historically, that more L's than dubs, this was a better match than I anticipated. And like I said, they had me thinking, are they getting ready to win this motherfucker? No, you ain't going to build Bishamon up to do this. No, we got to get out the open out of it. Good to great match. Like I said, 4 1/4 for me, but neither here nor there. Way better than I thought it was going to be. 2 things. Number 1, we'll go with your match of the tournament up to this point. Because obviously, I know you have we both did star ratings up to this point. I'll ask you what your highest star rating is to this point, and then I'll ask you for the winner of the New Japan final.
Yes, sir. And before that, your video has been frozen on my end for a minute. I don't know why. Now you're back a little bit, but it was weird. Did you see the comments that I put up here from my boy Cage My IQ?
I'm seeing one now, but
okay.
I was going to say, I see them, but it's just like it's really small print, and you're going to make me feel bad. I'm like,
can you hit mute on your?
No, I can see it.
Can you hit mute on your video and then unmute? I just want to see if that does anything. Regardless, I can hear you, and we're totally fine. I was just seeing if that could do something because your video is just frozen, but it's tight. But thank you, Dan Bakley, Cage My IQ, for tuning in. He's a big New Japan fan. He was with us. Oh, yeah, you met him at Forbidden Door probably.
Yes, I did.
Yes, sir. But, yeah, we'll trudge on here. I don't know what's going on my end here. But, hey, as long as we can hear, that's fine. So, match of the tournament. I have so many around that are at like 4 1/4 and 4. But I have one match at 4.5 stars. I just want to make sure I only have the one.
I only have one. I think it's the same one.
Oh, yeah, because we did talk about this a little bit. Yeah, Shota Umino and Zack Sabre Jr. is my match of the tournament. And, yeah, I thought this was just a perfect opponent for Shota to, not only put him over in getting the win, but really making him look great. And, Shota, he's definitely got the crowd back on his side after the Naito stinker. I think it's been really good that he's coming through the crowd, the Moxie style, and it's getting the fans kind of excited. See it because that shit just doesn't really happen in New Japan
at all.
Yeah, exactly. So it went like 26 minutes, but certainly didn't feel like it. It was ultra competitive the whole way. Obviously when you have ZSJ in there's going to be some great counter wrestling, and Shota proved that he could hang right there with him. I loved both in this match.
Yes.
Yeah. And the Shota Finley match, that he's kind of motherfucking Red Shoes a little bit. He's like, stay out of my way, Dad. And just, he's showing
he pushed him down. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, they gonna hear about this on Thanksgiving dinner. You wait and see. Red Shoes like, no, you ain't getting no turkey, motherfucker. Cut your own damn meat. You're gonna push me down.
So I love the aggressiveness that we've seen out of him. And just the fire, because that's who he is. That's, and by God, is he not a spitting image of Tanahashi right now? That match with him and Ren against Tanahashi.
No joke.
Okada, just like, which guy is which? So, like, their hair color was exactly the same.
It's the Spider-Man gift.
Yeah, but, exactly. But, yeah, that is my first match. Number 2, I would probably go Tama and David Finlay. Like I said earlier, I just thought that was just so much fun. And 2 guys, like we said, deserved to be in that spot and proved it, from bell to bell in that one. I just thought that was an incredible match. And then 3, I would go the Hanare Shingo match probably at number 3. And then I have a slew of other 4 1/4s, Mark Davis and Ospreay.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Fletcher and Goto, Finlay and Ishii. So those are all my 4 1/4s. So that would be kind of my top 6 or 7 or so. But how about you?
No, I was going to say you stole a lot of my thunder on that. Mark Davis, Ospreay, 4 1/4. Whereas in Yoshihashi, Kyle Fletcher is at 4 1/4 for me. To me, right now, it's Shota Umino and ZSJ. I agree with you. I have it 4 1/2 stars. It was another measuring stick for someone who a lot of people, and myself included, think is going to be the future of the company. Him and Ren Narita at some point are going to be rivals, going after the IWGP Championship at some point. And it was it's ZSJ, I'm waiting for ZSJ to be like, okay, I'm getting ready to start tying you up in a pretzel, and it just wasn't happening.
Yep.
Shota got busted in the nose. No problem. We're going to work through that. So, I mean, it showed a lot of different, layers, is the word I'm looking for Shota Umino just in the ring. Huge babyface potential, and somebody that's going to be able to wrestle some of the best in the world, chain wrestle. I'm going to almost say he damn near out-wrestled Zack Sabre Jr. in spots. Okay, I'll go that far. That's what to me was the more impressive thing about everything else. All the little stuff, him coming through the crowd, giving stuff to the fans, that's just going to add to his babyface appeal and just going to take him to that next level whenever they decide they're going to push him. Obviously, with this win, he has the U.S. title match in his back pocket. Same for Hanare. I expect him to have a KOPW championship in his back pocket. God forbid if David Finlay doesn't win, he should have a neverweight championship in his back pocket. So they did a lot of things that New Japan tournaments do to begin with. They set up the next match for, the champions. They did, as far as I'm concerned, they made 2 guys, and if you want to throw Hanare in, Aussie Open being the 2 guys, Hanare kind of made them Shota Umino as well. So, okay, let's just throw them. They made 4 guys into legit stars moving forward. Hanare might not be the legit star, but he's on the way up. He's trending the right way. We can go that far. And now you've got a final that I would love to see if anybody had Sonata and David Finlay as their final. If you did, props to you. I can't even knock you for it. But they have a final that has me guessing. I'm not sure who exactly wins. So I will go first. Yes, it is a coin flip match, and Okada being the big fish in the pond. David Finlay kind of needs it, so it reinforces the Bullet Club heel turn and possible leadership. Same for Sonata. You know, I'm not saying that he is the leader, but him coming over feels like he's the leader of Burger and Fries. So it's an important match for him. Both guys needed burgers and fries. I'm not going to let that ride for the rest of this podcast. I swear to God.
Oh, it is.
It's Burger and Fries now. I don't know who's going to win. My gut says David Finlay. That's who I'm sticking with. You have Gato, David Finlay going against Okada. Kind of makes sense at this point. We've seen Sonata and Okada before. Not saying I don't want to see it again, because that match would make sense. If you had me at gunpoint, I would pick David Finlay to win the New Japan Cup final.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I said earlier, picked Finlay coming in. Obviously, no one saw the Sonata thing happening.
Fuck no.
But I listened to Super J-Cast earlier, who I've talked about on here, and they had an interesting thought that kind of made me lean towards Sonata, but they were both split as well. One of them picked Sonata, one picked Finlay, but he said you have Sonata win here. He challenges Okada at Sakura Genesis, and then you have David Finlay challenge Okada at Dontaku because it's the Bullet Club 10th anniversary show.
Somebody's thinking. I can't. Either way, I don't think it's a bad way to go. Do you have a fresh winner, whoever is going to win, so that, you know, it's going to be a step up in the right direction both ways? Like I said, God, you almost talked me into it. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick to David Finlay. He's been white hot. So is Sonata as well. So, I mean, you're going to have two guys that are coming in that got a lot to prove, and the winner gained so much just in the short term. Maybe they're just smart to keep David Finlay on the back burner for a little bit, but I guess time will tell. Anything else on the New Japan Cup we didn't talk about, we forgot to talk about, that we want to discuss?
I don't think so, really. I just put up a comment from Bakley. He said Finlay is taking the win and the title at Genesis, which I think is very bold, but this is also the same man that did pick Tama Tonga to win his block over Jay White in the G1, which I certainly didn't see coming. So,
oh no, I was going to say I had Jay White going undefeated. I was talking mad shit. I was like, ain't nobody beating Jay White.
Yeah, I think that's a little bold, but yeah, really coin flip. I'm going to say Sonata just because then you've got Finlay ready-made to challenge the next month. But like you said, Finlay winning this would put the stamp on him and like, all right, he is now a true main event player, because you then have to find a way to get him to Okada at the Dontaku show. So, God, it's so tough. But yeah, I'll stick with Sonata just so we both go different ways. And I'll always have picking Finlay to win it at the beginning in my back pocket. So.
You son of a bitch. Let's move on to Stardom. You ain't shit. I gotta say, you can't be doing that. I'm not a huge fan of the Julia music. At least the new one is still kind of growing on me.
Yeah.
So I went with this as the backup because Azumi has had two of the best matches in the last calendar year with Starlight Kid.
Yep.
And I wanted to, give her some props because I got the sneaky suspicion Mercedes Moné might be next up. And if that's the case, this might put her on that same upward stratosphere that we were talking about with Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis and so many others. Yes. But we'll talk about that match in a second. We're going to talk about the Triangle Derby final, I guess the show from March 4th. That's how long we've waited to actually record. 1, 2, 3,
so long
6.
That we thought we'd talked about it already.
Right, and it was like, did we talk about it? Like, no, we did not talk about it. We previewed it, but did not talk about it. 9 matches on the card. Let's just jump into the more important matches. 2 in, well, I mean, if you want to talk about, no, I didn't think so.
The 2 semifinals.
The 2 semifinals, Himika's Retirement Road, Hazuki, Sai Kamatini, the high-speed title, red belt title, and then the Triangle Derby / Artist of Stardom Championship, which was a nice little curveball, but it added a little spice to which was a pretty good show overall. I like this show a lot. God's Eye beats Cosmic Angels. In this case, that would be Tam Nakano, Saki, and Natsupoi in 11:30. They ultimately faced Prominence, who beat Neo Stardom Army. Thank you, Prominence.
Shut that bitch up!
Oh my God! I mean, if you haven't been paying attention, or this is your first flight with us on the Pink Splash podcast, Nene Tanahashi is unfortunately someone that has garnered our ill will for the simple fact that she screams through her matches consistently. And I'm not a person that gets bothered by a lot of things with matches. You know, if you want to, get hype and, like my boy Shingo would do something along the lines of doing like, okay, now I'm totally down with that. Okay, but
that drop there.
Hey, I'm here for you. The fact that she just literally screams throughout the matches has really just turned me off on her on Yuna Missouri. Basically the whole shebang when it comes to Neo Stardom Army. I'll give you credit. She came in with like 4 titles. The last show I saw her, I guess that was the 311 show. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, talk about draped in gold, but another story for another time.
Talk about belt collectors.
Yeah, I mean, she like kicked one over to the side. She's got one in her hand, one around her waist, one around her neck. I'm like, good Lord, what the hell's going on? Neither here nor there. Prominence gets the win, so you would have Prominence versus God Eye in the main event for the Triangle Derby final championship, however you want to discuss it. But Prominence, God love them, they threw a little added fuel to the fire and put some more chips in the middle and made it a Artist of Stardom title match as well. So that was nice to see. I know we talked about Hashimoto before. We're going to talk about her again because, once again, very, very, very dominant performance over Himeka. Obviously, we discussed Himeka's road to retirement. She's going to have some dream matches coming up where I think it's going to be her and Micah versus Julia and Shuri at one point. And then she's got a 10-man tag or 10-woman tag. I can't think of the names. I'm not even going to try to go into all that, but neither here nor there. Hashimoto just rolls through Himeka. Shuri comes out, so that will be a Yokohama match on, I believe it's April 23rd. One-on-one, Hashimoto and Shuri. That should be nothing but
fucking heater.
Yeah, definitely a match that could be match of the year candidate as long as Shuri can stay upright and not get rolled over like everybody else. Hashimoto feels like Ivan Drago to me in Rocky IV. The first 2 opponents, she's just blown away. And now we got to bring in the heavy guns. Yeah, and now you got to bring in the big guns to see if Shuri can come in and handle business. Very curious to see how that is booked because I'm not sure if Hashimoto is here for a short time or a long time. If she's here for a long time, this might be a scenario where Shuri takes the L, but I'll digress. To me, the match of the night, no question about it. Hazuki versus Sai Kamitini in the white belt title match, 22-48. Kamitini goes over. We'll go back and talk about this in a second. Azumi beats Starlight Kid in 17:05 to retain the high-speed championship. Double count out in the red belt title match, which was kind of a surprise. I just thought that Julia would go over and we could move on, but I don't necessarily mind this. 17:57 bell to bell. Tam Nakano comes out. We can talk about that. Mina Shirakawa gets called out by Sai Kamitini. We talk about that. And then at the end, 14:47, Prominence retains and wins the Triangle Derby, won for the very first time, obviously. Lot to talk about. I'll let you pick anything you want to talk about, and we can go from there.
I think you know where I'm headed here. White belt match. Saya Kamitani defeats Suzuki 22-48. Easily my women's match of the year. I went 4 3/4. I haven't rewatched it. Could easily be a 5er for me, but my God. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Kamitani and how great she's been, how great this reign of hers was, and then she kind of got the yips a little bit. And
great, yeah, I love that. That's exactly what it is. It's been the yips.
Yeah,
she's gotten away from the Phoenix Splash podcast. Baby. Okay, now you know this is her endorsed podcast. So how you gonna get away from doing the Phoenix Splash is beyond even me. But please go ahead.
But man, I mean, and we are not shy about our fandom for Hazuki here. And she went in and she's like, I'm gonna take this motherfucking belt, and unfortunately she didn't. But my God, it woke up Saya Kamatani, and that is by far the best she has looked since mid-year last year. Let's call it 8 months. I think she was incredible the whole first half of last year, and then, like we said, kind of dipped off. So this brought the best out of her. Definitely the best Hazuki singles match I've seen, which is saying something because she had a few in the tournament last year. The Julia one specifically, excellent. But man, there were so many false finishes in this. There was a moment where Hazuki hit the brainbuster pretty close down the stretch, and I thought that was it for sure. And I screamed when Kamatani kicked out. Even, I love Saya too, but God damn it, I wanted Hazuki to win this. And unfortunately, she came up just a bit short, but I look forward to rewatching this one again. There's just been so much fucking wrestling lately. Yeah. I'm still behind and haven't been able to stay on top of it all, but yeah, I absolutely loved this match, and 4 3/4 for me. Happy to see Saya Kamatani look like she did in the first half of last year, and Hazuki proved that she can be and should be and will be a huge single star moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt. I gave it 4 3/4 as well. For me, if Hazuki won, it would have been a 5-star match. That's just me.
The old Mark Bump. I'm with you.
Broadcast podcast. Good evening. I finally saw that. See, I actually blew it up so I can actually see things now.
I still can't see your video, but hey, we're cooking here, so.
Trust me, you ain't missing nothing.
Oh, come on. You're a Geo.
No, I was about to say, you big sexy around here. You're about to say, you're the leader of this little GLG spinoff, the faction that we got going on over here. No, I thought Hazuki, yeah, right. I thought Hazuki was absolutely amazing. And at some point, as long as Julia holds the red belt, that's the match I'm looking forward to, because obviously they had beef in the 5-star, going leading up to this point, and obviously I would assume that their paths will have to cross it down the line. They got my ass on this one. I really thought, and I know what the money match is. I know what the money match is.
Yeah, you were talking about it the whole show last time, but man, God, I just wanted this so bad.
Yeah, Mina Shirakawa obviously is the match that they want, and it's the match that makes storyline sense. And Shirakawa even alluded to the fact that in the post-match after Saya called her out, she had said that, she hasn't done a proper Phoenix Splash on her up to this point. She didn't do a Phoenix Splash on Hazuki to win the match. So I was like,
I didn't see the promo with subtitles. I didn't go back and watch it. So that is.
I watched it this afternoon. So I was like, okay, so are we going to see the Phoenix Splash and she misses?
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, okay, I'm not sure where this is going, but now you piqued my interest for this match even more. Like I said, I knew where this was the end game, but even still, they got my ass.
Yep.
To the point where now it's like, okay, come on, Hazuki, don't do me like this. I'm openly rooting for her to win this title off of someone that I had still, even with the yips, I still had her as my women's wrestler of the year for 2022. The last, we called it, you called it like you see it, and I'm the same way. Those last 6 months, from let's just say August of 2022 to the end, not her best stuff. Yep. The stuff that she did beforehand put her on the map, and I thought it was going to, could easily elevate her to be a red belt champion at some point, and she still could be. But like, I agree with you. This got her, at least it felt like it got her back on track. Now I'm looking forward to the Shirakawa match even more, because now it feels like, both are on equal footing. We're good to go there. And like you said, Hazuki, just God bless her. It's another soul crushing loss for, her, for fans like me or like you. I'm not sure that I would ever get over the 5-star. This felt like another kick in the balls. I'm like, man, you just want to stomp on people's balls tonight. God. Damn,
that
what
brain
the
buster,
fuck?
man? Like, I can't, I always remember those moments in matches where they get you. And that was definitely, for example, not to get too off track, but in the MJF Danielson match in overtime, when Danielson did the yes chance for the first time, hits that knee, and MJF kicked out like I went nuclear. This wasn't quite that nuclear, but pretty damn close. So I'm like, oh my God, Hazuki's going to do it. She's going to do it. She's going to do it.
Motherfucker!
And then once that happens, from that point, it's just like, all right, all bets are off. I don't know what's going to happen now. But,
these poor cats were hiding and feel like, oh, he mad again. What's going on? I'm just kicking shit. Yeah, it's as far as I'm concerned right now, it's my match of the year. It's not 5-star, but it's going to be damn close to be. And I know I gave Julia a 5-star match for her match, her first title defense. I'm sorry. This Joker right here, it got me emotional. And I don't get emotional when it comes to wrestling like that, where I'm now getting mad about kickouts and, the person I really like isn't winning. Fuck that. I got mad by the end. I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Why are they doing Hazuki like this? Just let her win. But like I said, I get it. If the end game is Shirakawa, so be it. Their match, obviously, another Yokohama match on the 23rd, I believe. Let's talk about the Red Belt title match. An interesting way to finish this match where this felt like another Suzuki match where it started off quick. They were outside in the crowd, both women getting thrown into chairs early. And I'm like, man, here we go again. This is just going to be another Julia Barnburner Red Belt title match where, I just assumed that she would win. And it ended in a count out.
Double count out.
I apologize.
Yeah.
And then obviously after the match, we had the Tam Nakano challenge for the Red Belt Championship at once again Yokohama on the 23rd of April. Just thoughts on the match. It was a weird way to end the match. Usually with Stardom we get draws. Yeah. And things along that nature. I don't mind the count out. I think it was just weird because I just figured that Julia would get a hard fought victory, I guess, for lack of a better term. But please, thoughts on the Red Belt title match.
Yeah, really like the match. I mean, I think we talked last time about their prior history in Ice Ribbon, and I know Yukihi beat Julia in like a 2019 title match that I intended to go back and watch, but did not yet. But these two pummeled each other, pillar to post, as Julia matches tend to be these days. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Ms. Yukihi to end the show, but she can certainly slug it out as well. And yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, I agreed. The finish did take it down a little bit. I went 4.25. Probably could have been up in that 4.5 range if it was a more decisive finish. But I don't hate it. I mean, given that Maya has had the edge over her in the past and Julia couldn't get the job done here. Well, she retained the title but didn't get the win. Leaves it open for the future. And I'd definitely be down to see that match again. But yeah, in the moment, it was a little like, really? All right, whatever. But definitely didn't hate it. And the work itself was really strong. I mean, it's been a minute since I've watched it, but I believe they both put each other through tables on the outside pretty viciously.
They did.
Stretch too. Like, a lot of big action in this. And yeah, definitely really much enjoyed it. But the Tam match, real quick, I want to say.
No, that's what I wanted to talk about next, because that to me is a feud that kind of, I won't say disappeared, but just went simmered a little bit. Obviously, you had, Natsupoi moved from DDM to Cosmic Angels. Mai Sakurai from Cosmic Angels over to DDM. The fact that Julia lost the hair versus hair match, which was brought up in the post-match promo by Tam. So there's a lot of backstory history between the two.
And let's not forget the 5-star final last year. Julia
versus Tam. So there's obviously a lot of, let's just say beef on the grill that needs to be cooked. I'm looking forward to this match, man. I think this is going to be one of those matches that Julia has kind of set a tone for her title reigns in the first two, and it's basically, I'm going to do what I need to do
yeah. Good luck.
to keep this red belt. And Tam is basically, her foil, for lack of a better term. I don't think that there's a bigger, R.I.P. Hana Kimura. That should have been her foil, her being Julia moving forward. But obviously, life is what it is, and she took her life, and that's disappointing and unfortunate. Tam is a very good replacement, for lack of a better word, for Hana being that person that could have been going against Julia. They don't like each other, clearly. They've got history against each other, and now you're going to put them against one another with the biggest prize in Stardom in the middle. Sign me up.
Yeah, match of the year candidate on paper, no doubt. I just caught a quick snippet, I think it was on Twitter, it was a backstage comment with Tam and Nat's Boy, and it had subtitles. And it was only like 15, 20 seconds, but Tam was basically like, after I beat Julia and took her hair, all the attention should have been on me, but it was all on her the whole way. And every second, every day I saw her hair grow back, I hated her more and more and more. And I just, what a great point that is, because yeah, while Tam did win and had a heck of a run with that belt, look at Julia now. She's a fucking superstar and the red belt champ. And Tam's like, don't forget about me. I fucking beat her. But then obviously Julia got the win in the 5-star last year. So at least, I mean, I don't know if there's been other singles matches in that time period. I can't recall any, but there might have been. I don't think they were in the 5-star this past year. But regardless, that's a big win for each here. And yeah, this is the first time for the red belt between these two. And yeah, like you said, there has been a clear tone set by Julia in these first two title matches. And if you want it, you better come and get it, and you better bring your fucking A game, because she's going to beat the shit out of you, and you're going to have to beat the shit out of her. And then some. But we know these two.
No doubt.
We knew these two can take it to the limit, and I would expect nothing different here. So yeah, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah, that should be another banger of a match, to say the least. Let's jump back to Azumi versus Starlight Kid 2. The original was, like I said, all the way up until the very end of 2022. Azumi versus Starlight Kid was my match of the year of 2022, until Julia and Shuri decided to come along and just act a goddamn fool on the 28th of December. But obviously you can go back and see that. I just think that that's an amazing match. It's probably one of the top 10 matches of the year, men's, women's, whatever the case may be.
I had it at 3 overall. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that joke is absolutely amazing. The second time around, not nearly as good, but I mean, damn, it was pretty fucking good. Yeah. I have it at 4.25 stars. I thought that it was still good. Nonetheless, once again, it was another time where I wasn't sure that Starlight Kid wasn't going to win. I thought there was a couple of chances where a couple of near falls where I thought this was going to actually be the case, where Starlight Kid was going to win, get the high-speed title back, especially when if you still want to do Azumi versus Mercedes Moné. I don't think that Azumi needs the title per se. It'd be nice for her to have it. It's a nice visual, but I don't think necessarily that she needs it. Not like Starlight Kid needs it. I think Starlight Kid easily could be the white belt champion if given the right circumstance. Neither here nor there. 17:05, like I said, Azumi wins again, back-to-back big wins in big-time spots. Talk about the match. Talk about the possibility of Azumi and Mercedes Moné. Obviously, we haven't had a confirmation yet, but obviously that's the rumor. That's the way we're trending.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's going to happen. First, I just want to clear it. I had Julia and Shuri, the match you mentioned, at number 3 overall last year, but Azumi Starlight Kid was in like the low 20s, and yeah, incredible. So I was 4.75 on that first one. I went 4.5 on this one. Yeah, like you said, still amazing, but that match last year was just something special. In fact, I rewatched it probably like it was maybe a few days before this show. And yeah, that one's just a tough one to top. But yeah, these two still put together something amazing here. And I'm with you. I kind of thought Starlight Kid would get the W this time because, yeah, I do agree with you. The visual of Azumi having another belt definitely looks cool and good, but yeah, she definitely doesn't need it. And I kind of just thought, she'll get rid of this and challenge Mercedes, but she got the win again, and hell, she's got to be having that belt about a year or so now, right? I'll look it up here.
I was about to say she's in double digit the title defenses like Saya is. I don't think it's
over
near
a year. Yeah, 391 days.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. So obviously
223. That was when she beat Starlight Kid for it. So yeah,
okay,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, amazing run. I thought, and that no knock against Azumi. I wanted to hold this bad boy. I thought this might have been a spot where, considering the magnitude of the card and the opponent across from her, a nice spot to drop it. Didn't drop it. Not a big deal. Did we cover everything?
I think so. Yeah, because we pretty much talked about the Triangle Derby. Not really in detail, but I think we're all rah prominence here. That's for sure.
Obviously, just covered it. Prominence did beat God's Eye in the final of the Triangle Derby in 1447, and I believe it was after the show went off the air. Queen's Quest corners Providence backstage. They have a right on Providence. I had to actually look this up and see if this was the case, but they have a win over Providence from the Triangle Derby. So QQ Queen's Quest versus Providence coming up probably on that Yokohama show on the 23rd.
Sounds good to me.
So if I had to just stop and look at it, what I'm thinking I'm seeing for that show is, in no particular order, Julia versus Tam, Mina Shirakawa versus Kamatini. You have Shuri versus Hashimoto, and then Prominence versus Queen's Quest.
And Mercedes
in some form or fashion.
Mercedes and Azumi.
I think that would be the 8th on in the New Japan, because that would be for the.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is Sakura Genesis. That would be the
IWGP
on the 23rd of April. Okay, yeah, I got that mixed
right.
up. But yeah, regardless, pretty nice looking card.
Ultimately, that's where I was going with it. That 23rd show, I'm not sure who's going to represent Queen Quest, because obviously Kamatini is going to be a little busy defending the white belt, but I would assume that it would be Julia, not Julia, but Utami and. That's an interesting question on that. Lady C and probably somebody else. I can't think of who would be the third person off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I guess then, sorry, to go back to Mercedes, this had been rumored as potentially Mercedes versus Mayu, right? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen the show, but I was on Stardom's Twitter page, and Mayu basically threw out the challenge that she's got next, no matter who wins.
I had just
they got to see her on the 23rd at Yokohama.
Yeah, I'd just seen it was some dirt sheet thing that came out a while ago when it said she would be taking on likely Azumi on the 8th and Mayu on the 23rd. So not to speculate too much, but that would be another fucking fire match to add to the mix here. So
yeah. Sorry, Azumi, I love you, but
yeah.
You might have to take the L on this one. I'm not saying I wanted to lose, but you might have to take the L. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a little pro wrestling. Noah. So this guy that music is playing right now, I wasn't even sure who he was. Brett showed me a couple videos, and I'm like, okay, I like this dude, but I mean, I got to see a little more. And as he's come over to Pro Wrestling Noah, I've seen a little more. He's gotten together with Anthony Green and Jack Morris, forming the Good Looking Guys. As the representative of the Midwest region of the Good Looking Guys, we got to give a shout out to our boys over in Japan. I got to say, Jake Lee has been more than advertised, better than advertised, however you want to call it. But Jake Lee is the story of Pro Wrestling Noah and the Good Looking Guys as well. We'll talk about both in a second, but I think the biggest story is the dominant win by Jake Lee. And I don't throw the word dominant out there a lot, especially when it's not used by me. Well, it's not associated by me. I like to use dominant when it has Jason C. Bell surrounded by it. That being said, Jake Lee takes the GCW Heavyweight Championship in 35 minutes and 36 seconds. I knew this match went a little bit, but I didn't think it went that long, bell to bell. Neither here nor there. Jake Lee is your new GHC Heavyweight Champion. I know you had a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Bitter taste in your mouth when it comes to Kaito as of late, Brett. You called him, I believe the words were bitch boy on our little bitch boy?
Little bitch boy, yeah.
So I saw this first and I didn't text you right away because I knew you were going to watch it. I was just like, I'm watching this match and I'm thinking, man, okay, so Jacob, he's doing this thing, easy size advantage, reach advantage, basically. It's Okada all over again, and I think commentary actually threw Okada's name out there, and I was like, yeah, this kind of does feel like Okada all over again. Not a lot of offense from Kaito, and when it does, it's in spurts, but then it's quickly snuffed out, where then Jake Lee is just grinding them out slowly but surely. I thought there was a couple of times where, it might be referee stoppage, a couple of false finishes, near falls, however you want to call it. But ultimately, Jake Lee just in a dominant performance, taking the GHC heavyweight title of Okada Kiyomiya. This was going to be his sixth title defense. If he won, obviously, this was 5 the second time around, 6 the first time around, if I remember correctly. So things to talk about on that aspect, but we got to give Jake Lee his flowers, right?
Negro Damas strikes again, baby. I've been holding that one in. But yeah,
right.
I went out on a bit of a limb and I said, you know what? I think Jake Lee might win this motherfucker. And yeah, as the match was going and it was going and it was going and it was going, and Jake Lee was just beating the shit out of him and dominating man, that segment where he pinned him like 10 times in a row, like he just. And he still
and even though, I was just like, dude, by like the 8th time, I'm just like, Kaito, this is embarrassing, dude. I mean, yeah. Now I'm like, you really gonna lose? It's just, it's like one of my cats playing with, they like to play with bottle caps, and one of them, slaps it around, and he'll just slide on the floor, and he'll run over and chase after it. It was literally like watching one of my cats fuck around with a bottle cap. It was like, man, are you going to do something? Okay, he's getting ready. No, that's it. Okay. This was and Noah is good and bad for this. It's bad when it's somebody I really like. In this case, I have no real allegiance to either, or I just wanted to see this match. Noah is good for having their champions get snuffed, crushed, squashed, whatever word you want to use in the sentence, in a way you just don't see normally. When Nakajima lost to Fujita, I just started watching Noah, and I was just starting to get into Nakajima. I was like, yeah, okay, I like this dude. This motherfucker's cool. He talks shit. He kicks motherfuckers' heads off. I like this dude. And then Fujita comes out and it's just like, oh no, I'm going to powerbomb this dude into hell, and I'm going to take the title. I was like, well, damn. That was quick. Where you going?
I'm still fucking pissed about that.
Okay. Shiozaki, he just got the title back. I'm like, yeah, he's getting ready to have a run with this bad boy. Okay. Nice little run. Just got the title back, snatched the title off his ass. I'm like, damn. And we had talked about it before where like guys like Keno, another great, okay, guys where I was like, okay, we're getting ready to have a run, and they took it away from him in such spectacular fashion. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? So when Kaito Kiyomiya had this little run, I was like, okay, this was 5 in a row. It just felt like this 6 was just a mountain to climb, and it just, with every minute, that mountain just seemed to get steeper and steeper, and I was, at the end, I was just like, thank God, I felt bad for him getting that ass whipped for what it was. What did I say, 35, 36? Yeah. Woo, Lord. I was going to say 25 of that 35 minutes was Kaito Kiyomiya getting that ass whipped.
Is this the longest squash match you've ever seen?
Yes.
Because
without question.
I texted texted you. I'm like, I was going to be so fucking mad if they did the John Cena thing where Kaito just gets shredded the whole, like old day John Cena. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He gets shredded for 30 minutes and gets a miracle win. But credit to Noah, they stuck with it. They put Jake Lee over in, like you said, very dominant fashion over a guy that, they had just basically, they put him over Muto. They gave him the belt back. It seemed like he was being groomed for another year-long run. And, I got nothing against Kaito at all. I just want to see a little more from him, a little more, not as much just, okay, I'm going to please the fans and jump around and be the good guy, little show some heart. But no, let's see that black hair, black pants, badass Kaito. So now I texted you. I'm like, I'm way more intrigued by him now than he was this whole title reign and even before. Because now what's going to happen? Because this guy,
that is the question.
He's 26. He is the quote unquote ace, future ace, top star of the company at this point. So, they're not going to forget about him. But like now I'm ready to sink my teeth into this Kaito comeback story because this is one that I can get behind. The one with Muto and all that bullshit. Like I just wasn't into all that. But now I'm ready for this. And I'm very, very intrigued to see what happens with him. Not only, but the Okada demolishing not too far in the rear view. So that's now back-to-back major matches he's had where he's got fucking skunked. So how you going to respond, little bitch boy? We should.
Oh shit! Shots fired. That was one of my thoughts after seeing like Jake Lee and Yohei and Tadusuke. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then it all came together. I was like, oh, that's what the fuck is going on. Okay, yeah, okay. I see you from pro wrestling, though. I see you. I like that shit. Yeah. Kept me on my toes. With these ending where they had basically Jake in the middle and GLG surrounding him, I thought that was a really good look. I think that's a little snippet of what's to come. Jake Lee's going to hold this Joker for a little bit. Nakajima, God bless Nakajima. Yeah. He came out post-match, and this is the one time I just wish, commentary would just either, translate or just don't say anything at all. It's not like I know what they're saying if they don't translate. I just don't want them kind of talking over Nakajima talking. I know it's weird. I don't understand what he's saying anyway, but either translate it or shut the fuck up. It's one or the other. Sorry, not sorry. That's just me. I know it's just a weird thing I have. I'm sorry. So Nakajima comes out and makes the challenge, and Jake Lee doesn't say anything, and Nakajima gets out, and Jake Lee starts to laugh. I'm like, oh, you like that? Okay. Man. Yeah, okay, so now I'm like, this is going to be real interesting because he being Jake Lee, has snuffed out the future ace of Pro Wrestling Noah, and now his first title defense is arguably against one of the most dangerous strikers. I mean, Okada, just came back on this in a 5-minute, 48-second match and got worked again. Thankfully, his jaw is intact. But I think that's my point with this. Jake Lee is laughing at somebody that knocked people out within the last 6 months.
Knocked out.
Yeah, legitimately have broken jaws, has putting people to sleep with kicks, whatever the case may be.
Endo vacate the KOD championship. The top.
Okay, thank you, Gas. Okay, that's the other dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was DDT's main champ, and fucking Nakajima knocked his ass out. And all right, let's let Higuchi go on his run. So I like that. But yeah.
And now you gonna laugh? I'm like, oh, you crazy. You don't know what you're doing.
He is crazy, and that's why I love him. Like, his character, like, I've watched a little bit of him in All Japan, and like, I think it's always been kind of a work in progress, but I'm digging this. And he is just kind of like, he came in like he is the hot shit and like he is the best. And he's pretty much kind of backed it up, and he hasn't batted an eye or backed down from anyone. And yeah, what a breath of fresh air for this company that it sorely needed. And I'm with you. Let's let this motherfucker carry the strap for 200 plus days, and let's go to work.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see that unfold. I think that would be it would be an absolute crime if was this March 20th if he hasn't dropped the title within the first 6 months. So 3+6 by September, he should still be the champion. If he's not, then we got a fucking problem on our hands. That's just me. Not saying I'm gonna stop watching wrestling. No, I'm just gonna be pissed.
But as you hinted or said earlier, and we talked a lot about in the early episodes, the booking of Noah's belt, the KOD championship, was a fucking mess for the majority of last year. Ever since Nakajima lost it, it was just ping pong. So, and I mean, Kaito, like we said, just had about 175 or so day run. So, at least put a little bit more stability on that championship. But yeah, let's let Jake Lee carry that bad boy for a while.
No, I think he will. But let's talk about the underlying angle where GLG grows in numbers. We're going to jump up to the second match of the night where you had the Congo team of Ohara, Hiroki, Tadusuke, and Sujei Kondo versus Alejandro Tagoye, Yokosuka, and Yohei. So this just felt like a normal 8-man tag, just getting guys on the card, no big deal. I'm trying to think. Tadusuke took the loss.
It was a very, very quick and abrupt finish,
yeah, and I was just like, but the first match was short, so the second match was short. So I mean, I didn't even trip off of just the quick pin. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, they've done this before. It's no big deal. There's just a lot of matches on the card. They're just trying to get people on the show. No big deal. But then you see post-match, Sujei Kondo kind of, get in the face of Tadusuke. Tadusuke's on his knees. Sujei is kind of like, talking over him or whatever the case may be. The Noah Junior Army leaves, but Yohei kind of hangs out and then comes back in to make the save on Tadusuke running off the Congo team. So now I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, well, Tadusuke, is cool. He feels like somebody that could, if you get him in the right spot, you could give him a run at the junior title. Put him with a good tag team partner. You can make a run at the junior tag team title. This is cool. No big deal. He's going to the junior army. Mwah, 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 mwah.
And then they kick the shit out of the whole junior army.
Like, what the fuck? Poor the Tagoye is in the corner, like, you can see him put his arms up, like, dude, what the fuck? You just came over. You gonna flip on us? So he comes over.
Part of me thought like he was gonna join, like that maybe they'd be a trio, and then nope. Sit down.
Yeah, he caught that work too. I'm just like, what the fuck? So at this point, you see Tadusuke and Yohei leave the ring together, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, okay, so they're not going to be with Congo, they're not going to be with the Noah Junior Army. They're not just going to be floating around here in the dusk for no apparent reason. So, fast forward to the match with Anthony Green and Jack Morris versus Hio Del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Murafuji. Decent match, nothing spectacular. I gave it 3.75 stars. The turnout from this match is obviously Jack Morris getting the pin on Dr. Wagner Jr. So obviously this sets up the title match that I believe is on the 16th of April. Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Jack Morris for the national heavyweight strap. Once again, GLG on, this is the first time, I'm sorry, just before I give it all away, this is the first time we see GLG on screen. They get the dub, and I remember between this, I was like, man, this could be a big night for GLG. He got the first dub. Jake Lee's on deck. He can beat Kaito. You never know what can happen. So as we fast forward a little bit, as they all come out, and this is now the first time we see Yohei and Taduske and, Anthony Green and Jack Morris, I'm sitting there looking at them like, oh, these motherfuckers are dope now.
They
now
are good looking.
I was about to say, Yohei's always been, the playboy, you know what I'm saying? Jack Morris and Anthony Green, the original OG members of GLG, and Taduske is just a Chris Jericho,
cool.
kickoff wannabe, and he just cool like that. All guys I want to root for, moving forward. And so when they came out, I was like, oh, now it all makes sense. Yeah. And when Jake Lee came out, I'm like, that's your ass, Kaito, you toast. Right then, I was like, yeah, you ain't winning this motherfucker. There is no way that they're going to do all this. I mean, elaborate from one point to the second match in to the middle match. And then now at the very end where now it all makes sense. I was like, okay, so you know what? If Congo wasn't around, y'all would be my number one. I still like Congo, but GLG is like 1A. Congo slip up and do some stupid shit. GLG's taking the number one spot. But let's just talk about GLG. What do you see for them moving forward? Because obviously Jake Lee's on top. Jack Morris obviously has the national title date. I think it's the 16th. And you got to think that Yohei and Taduske is going to go after the junior tag titles, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, that'll just leave poor Anthony Green without a belt, but he'll be just fine. Just like you, I absolutely love it. I mean, Taduske is a guy that we, talked about from the Dome show or last year. It was the first time I saw him, and I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker is tight. And then Yohei, similarly, as I mentioned on our earlier episodes, I used to not really watch a lot of the Nowhere Junior stuff and had started watching more of it, and he was a guy that definitely stood out to me. And like you said, he's the playboy. He's got that charisma. He's just a fun guy to watch. So, yeah, absolutely sign me the fuck up for this because GLG has been tight from the moment they got together, and now they have 2 juniors, which they hadn't had, and 2 more Japanese guys, which I think just makes the group a little more well-rounded because it was always a little strange of just Jake Lee and then 2 white guys.
Right.
But, no, I've...
Over in Noah.
Yeah, exactly. Fully on board with this. And, yeah, just intrigued to see where it goes. I mean, it would not shock me one bit to see Jack Morris beat Dr. Wagner. And then, I mean, I would think it'll be a bit before Yohei and Taduske challenge me because it's still a lot of weird shit going on with the Stinger and El Perro Del Mar. Whatever the fuck is going on there.
Yeah, we're going to
any of that. But
let's talk about it. Let's get it off the table. I was about to say, in, 25-29, Ida and Ogawa retained the title over Chris Ridgway and Hayata. Chris Ridgway and Hayata just beat Ogawa silly. I mean, any limb that was not physically attached to Ogawa was trying to be detached by these two. They worked the arm, they worked the leg, and then Ogawa pulls out a flash pin to get the win. I don't have a preference on who wins. I've said it before in the previous podcast. This has been a angle that just ultimately doesn't make sense. Nope. And then it continues upon that storyline going forward. So post-match, Ogawa comes out to shake hands with Hayata. Hayata's kind of hesitant. He ultimately is getting ready to shake hands. Ada comes over to like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? We just had a 25-minute banger with these jokers. They busted us up twice, you and me. And Ogawa smacks the shit out of Ada like it's nobody's business. And he goes back in the corner. I'm sitting like, what the fuck is going on?
All of this?
Why did you just kick each other's ass for 25 minutes and now you want to be friends again? Chris Ridgway is probably the smartest motherfucker in the room. Like, I don't know, man. I'm going to have to go.
I'm going to go my own way. Fuck all this shit. Maybe I'll join GLG too.
Y'all got a spot for me, right? Fantastic. Now, I'll shave this shit.
You need some tattoos in this shit.
I'm saying, good-looking guys have tattoos, too.
That's true.
This whole angle has made no fucking sense. And now, like I said, it has continued down that path. Do they still have tag team champions, or is this a way to split off? I would assume at this point you got to take the titles off of them, right? And just have this Stinger Perros Del Mal feud and just keep the titles away from it. I mean, that would make the most sense, correct?
Well, they I think early last year when Nakajima and Kitamiya were tag champs, and I can't remember who turned on who, but yeah, then they had like a singles match for both belts, right? And then isn't that what happened? Do you remember any of this shit?
I was getting ready to say that was right. No, I don't think you are, but I think this was right before I started to really watch, so I can't say for sure one way or the other.
That's what happened is they had a singles match for the tag titles, and then it was like Kitamiya and Kaito were the champs. I'm pretty sure something similar, but maybe they go that route again. But I'll tell you what, I don't give a fuck. You know, like this was 25 minutes. It was boring. I just was not into this at all. Like, yeah, it was fine seeing Old Man Ogawa get his ass beat, but it was just way too long. And then the post-match just made me even more angry. And yeah, if I'm Chris Ridgway, I stay away from any and all of these motherfuckers because he's awesome. But whatever the hell else is going on with these guys, I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bad angle that's getting worse as it progressively goes on. An angle that I wasn't too sure about and kind of confused about what's going on moving forward was, in my opinion, the match of the night, but it kind of was, I guess, overshadowed by Kano making match upon match upon match, but neither here nor there. Let's talk about it. Yeah, Daika Inaba and Masa Kitamiya retain the GHC tag team titles over Manabu Soya and Kano. I wasn't sure that, I guess, Kongo was going to lose, but as this match started to go along, I caught myself as the mark, rooting for Kongo, wanting to see Manabu Soya get his first strap as a Noah wrestler. But I guess my biggest problem with this was how they booked the match, where Kano kind of felt like he had already put this match in the bag. You got All Japan Wrestling on deck, and then possibly Dragon Gate down the line. It almost felt like the champs and Inaba and Kitamiya were kind of overshadowed at a certain point. It didn't feel like this was a title match. It just felt like this was almost fait accompli. We're going to beat these champions to face the All Japan champions and then face the Dragon Gate champions. Obviously, that didn't come to pass. Am I just tripping? Am I just looking at this in a way that I'm just thinking about it too hard, or is there something to the fact that this might be a thing?
It was a little confusing. Well, I think the match itself, all that aside, was really good. I went 4.25 on it. Just great work.
4.5.
Excellent. But yeah, like it was the 3-9 show, I think. I didn't watch the second one, but yeah, it was Yuma Aoyagi and Naoya Nomura, the All Japan Triple Crown Tag Team champs, came out and was talking with Keno and Soya, or really just Keno. And like you said, they're not the champs. So yeah, that part was confusing. And I'm still not exactly sure what's happening, because then Kento Miyahara came out, and I guess the 3-on-3 match that's happening. So yes, I'm confused, but I thought the match was great. And we texted about this. We were both happy to see the champs retain, because it did feel like it was almost a sure thing that they were going to lose. So, but yeah, match was great. I don't know what the hell else is going on, but I'm pretty intrigued. And I think any work between Noah and All Japan is only a positive thing, because I think why shouldn't these two companies be working together? I mean, especially from All Japan's standpoint. I mean, they're definitely much lower rung these days than Noah, but Kento Miyahara is without a doubt one of the best wrestlers in the world. So any opportunity to see him on a bigger stage, because we can at least watch Noah, All Japan. Like,
shit.
Maybe we'll find this on YouTube, but yeah, and I mean, goddamn, I of course still love to see Kento versus Nakajima. or even Kento and Kitamiya, because they were also in Diamond Ring together, Kensuke Sasake's promotion. So, and I mean, just seeing Kento come out in the suit and like that motherfucker can get a crowd going. Like they were chanting his name, you know, like that guy has charisma dripping everywhere and the crowds fucking love him. So I just thought that was a cool moment. Again, similarly, like without Stewart there, who usually handles the translations, it was all getting kind of jumbled and lost. And again, I was even more confused with what the situation was, but it was a very cool moment just to see Kento Miyahara out there suiting it up, talking shit with Kitamiya. The crowd was loving it. So despite the confusion, I'm here for it, and I think it'll all get cleared up soon. But yeah, I think there is a show on tomorrow, the 21st, that is going to have this 3-on-3, I believe. It's Kento and 2 All Japan guys that I've never heard of. It was against three unscheduled or unannounced Noah opponents. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. But, hey, I'm here for it all. I dig it.
No, let's do that shit. A couple other matches I wanted to talk about. And Lancelot and Extreme Tiger defeat Ninja Mac and Amuska in 10-16. I guess the bigger story, the story is Lancelot pins Amuska to probably set up a junior tag, or not junior tag, but a junior title match somewhere down the line. This is my first time seeing Lancelot. You know, nothing spectacular. I don't see this being a title change. I just think this is somebody that they can throw in front of the champ and move things along. The other thing I wanted to talk about, probably the upset of the night, was Taniguchi over Segura in 11:43. They had, I think it was either a tag team or a 6-man tag. I guess it was on that same 3-9 show where Taniguchi was just getting his ass handed to him by, it was all 3 guys, Segura, Suzuki, and somebody else. They were just Fujita. They're just fucking this guy up. I mean,
not
just
want those 3 against you.
It was like, do you owe them money? Just pay them the money. Damn, get off this man. But credit to Taniguchi, he came off the mat, worked his way back up, fought from underneath, but ultimately lost that match. So fast forward to the singles match, and I'm seeing it in the middle of the card. I'm like, okay, you know, maybe this is, you know, Taniguchi, you know, looking a little stronger. This is a singles match. You know, he'll have a chance to, you know, look strong, but, you know, you just assume that Segura would go over. Wrong again, my friend. Taniguchi does go over in 11:43, like I said, in a match that I thought wasn't necessarily the best in the world. I gave it 3.5, but the fact that Taniguchi won, I thought was the biggest moving factor coming away from that. Thoughts on either or match?
Yeah, this match I'll stick with. Taniguchi's a guy I haven't really seen too much of because I don't watch full shows all the time, but I thought this was a good match and a definitely surprising win. I agree 3.5, but I guess the question is what's this going to build toward for him? Because, I mean, you know, Segura, yeah, he is north of 50, but he's still a pretty big deal in this company. So hopefully they can capitalize on this with Taniguchi. You know, I mean, Taniguchi, it's not a guy that's going to win the world title, but hey, I was intrigued by this, and I wouldn't mind seeing a little more of him.
I thought this, they're going to now tag and go after the GHC Tag Team Championships, if I saw it correctly on the DDT.
These two together?
Now they're going to tag. Yes. Now they're going to tag together and go after the tag titles, which I guess, because I think commentary was talking about, you know, Taniguchi having to prove himself against Segura or whatever the case may be. So let's just run it along. Say he proves himself. Segura is kind of like, you know, it could be like Kojima all over again. You know, I see you know, you can handle your business. Let's go after the tag team titles again.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. And that's fine. Then the juniors match I thought was nothing special, kind of messy at times. And yeah, Lancelot didn't really impress me too much, so I assume that should be an easy Amakusa retention there. But yeah, match was nothing special.
No, I would agree. Outside of that, I think we've covered.
One question: what was your rating for the main event? I'm just curious.
It's hard when you have it's so one-sided. And I mean, that's ultimately where I have to kind of remember it's so one-sided, but it was still a good match. I gave it 4 stars. It probably should be bumped. I wouldn't have a problem with anybody bumping it one way or the other, 4 1/4, 3 3/3, because it's either a match that you can really get into because you can see Jake Lee's how he's going to be moving forward, how he is in ring. And I mean, all this for me is just learning who he is. This is probably, I've seen him a handful of times. So watching him in ring, watching his mannerisms, his ring psychology, all this is new to me. So I'm learning as he's, going along and just wiping the floor, Kaito. So in that scenario, I want to take it all into consideration. It wasn't a complete squash, obviously, but very one-sided. But it's still a match that I think people can watch and enjoy. I gave it 4 stars.
Yeah, gave it the mark bump to 4.5. It, like you said, it wasn't the most exciting, obviously not back and forth, but I was compelled the whole way through, and obviously predicting Jake Lee and really wanting Jake Lee to win, that made it that much more for me. So yeah, it may be dragged a little bit at times, but I was still into it the whole time, and just again really was hoping that Kaito wouldn't get a fluky win at the end, and just was happy that they committed to it and stuck with it. So yeah, 4 1/4. It's got a low, I mean, relative, all things considered, on Cage Match, it's only a 6.58. So
I saw that. I was like, whoa, okay, well, to each his own, I guess. Yeah. I'll just say this, and then we can move to TJPW. I don't know if everybody can see what my, I guess, nickname is for this week's podcast. Brett has Gato's Duster, which is goddamn comedy. I'm Kaito's corner man, so if I was truly Kaito's corner man, I'd have thrown that towel in, because that was just, at a certain point, it's like, this is Rocky IV type shit. We got to keep you alive, Apollo. I can't have you dying in the middle of this ring, man. That's honestly the way I felt. It was so one-sided that it was just like, wow. It was the shock factor of seeing the world champion, their world champion, just catching that work. And that to me was the shock factor of it. And for me, it worked. If other people were bored with it, I can understand that, because it was, like I said, very one-sided, but for me, it worked.
Yeah. And it's all, the emotional investment that each person has when they watch wrestling. Obviously we, as pretty big Noah fans, and me as someone who liked Jake Lee before and wanted to see Kaito lose, I fucking loved it. But yeah, if you're just kind of a casual fan just tuning into this show, or maybe a big Kaito fan, I could see that pissing you off. So definitely a bit of a divisive match, but it worked for me for sure.
No, GLG obviously coming out of nowhere was the big story from Great Voyage in Yokohama. I thought this was a GLG performance from start to finish. Obviously, they're going to be a faction to watch for the rest of the year. I'm not sure if they're going to all have gold. It feels like it's damn near impossible. If it does, somebody's going to be a double champ. But they're going to be a faction to look out for in 2023 for sure.
No doubt.
All right, let's talk a little Grand Princess. I believe this was on the 18th. Sounds right. All the days are just jumbled up together. I can't even figure these days out anymore, but neither here nor there. You had 3 title matches, 3 title changes. I can't think of the last time I've seen 3 title matches and have 3 title changes, the big titles, as a matter of fact. But let's just jump into it, and then I know you want to talk about this goddamn panda, so we can talk about that too.
Hell yeah. What a very, very fun show, top to bottom. For real.
Sorry.
I thought this was an excellent show.
No. Do not get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I thought I was entertained until that point. That's when I'm just kind of like, I try, guys. I really do. But you're not making this easy for me. You got a goddamn panda that can't get in the fucking ring. What the fuck?
So let's just start here then.
Yes, please. Let's start here. You loved it. And I was thinking about you, and I'm watching this. I'm like, Brett's gonna love this shit. I can honestly see him laughing. Now we get to see it for myself for the first time.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'll just say this openly and honestly. I'm not a huge fan of comedy in my wrestling. This is the reason why. Well, just for the record, because let's just say this is the first time you dropped in the PSP. So I'm not a huge fan of comedy in wrestling. I think that's kind of the reason why I gravitate towards strong style wrestling, New Japan, Stardom. Even though they have their moments, some of it to me a little goes a long way. This was the DDT kind of reason why I don't watch DDT, because it's so over the freaking top sometimes. I mean, Hyper Masato in the match, love her. I think, like I said, I don't even know what she says half the time. Well, not even half the time, all the time. And I laugh my motherfucking ass off. The one time I did laugh in this match is when Hyper ran that bike into the fucking pan. I'm like, goddamn right. I'll say, some guys to take this big ass panda down, get this bike, and work this fucking panda. That's the only time I laughed at that whole match. This match was just.
What about when Shoko shoved the lightsaber up the panda's ass? That didn't.
Come on, man. No, just it's over the top.
I think I was crying at that point.
I'm like, God damn, dude, is this real? Is this my life?
Let me ask you a question. Had you seen Andreza Giant Panda before, or did you know what we were getting into with this?
I had no idea. This was they have like a little match lineup or whatever, so you click on it. And, I'm looking at it to see, where the matches fall in line. So I'm reading it, and I read past it or whatever. And I was like, who the fuck? Never mind, it doesn't matter. That panda came out. I'm like, what in the fuck is this? And I'm like, this is, commentaries like, this is so-and-so's partner, Neko's partner or whatever. And I'm like, what this is her partner? Man, hold up, dude. And the ramp is like a WrestleMania ramp, so it's like super extra long. So now you
had like a handler.
Right? Like, hold my hand. We can't have you fall 10 feet. God knows how many people are in this fucking panda suit. I'm just like, dude, this is the craziest fucking shit I've ever seen. Well, it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. The homework assignment is probably on that list as well. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But watching this panda like having to come down the fucking stairs, I'm like, dude, this is. I don't want to hear anybody talk about the Undertaker taking his sweet time coming to the ring. This motherfucking panda can't even walk down fucking steps. It was nuts.
One of the funniest things I have ever seen in wrestling, and I loved it. And trust me, I understand why you and many others probably would not. But the funniest thing to me was probably getting the damn panda in the ring, which clearly you did not like. But the handler was pulling with all his might the rope to slide this fat-ass 10-foot panda in the ring, and it just wasn't working.
No! Okay, you can literally see the head. Okay, here's the ring ropes. The head is like this. Okay, there's no way in physics that you can maneuver these ropes wide enough to get this head in the ring. I'm like, man, ain't no way. Yeah, of course it works because I was talking shit on it. I'm saying like shitting on it.
He chucks Hyper Masao and he chucks Shoko Nakajima like they're dust.
God bless them. God bless them all. I hope they got a nice little paycheck for that because I'd have looked at them and be like, no, I am not doing this. Fuck you.
I will take as much Andreza Giant Panda as you got. And you're right. The bike on the outside really was the highlight. It's like, what can we do here? Let me get my bike and run you over. And this green lightsaber comes from out of nowhere and hitting him with it, and then fucking Shoko jamming it up the Panda's ass.
I'm just like, I'm literally like, my eyes are rolling in the back of my head. It's just so much like visual overload. I'm just like, okay, can we just stop. Why are we bringing out the lightsaber? You know I like Star Wars. Stop this shit. That's probably the reason why I didn't like it, is because I was not liking the match, and now you brought one of my favorite childhood memories into this shit, and now you're trying to sew that motherfucker into it. Leave the lightsabers out of it, please and thank you. Let's talk title matches real quick, and I want to talk about Aja Khan and actually let's talk about that first before we talk about the title matches.
Well, let's real quick. Let's just go in order because I want to talk about my girl Billy Starks as well. And
good, no, yeah, that's a good point because I was kind of like disappointed. I guess I don't want to. I hate the fact that she came over and took the L, but apparently, Saint Michelle and Tsukizama don't lose. Someone hit me on Twitter when I was kind of like, it sucks that Billy Starks had to come over and take the L. That fucking whatever it was, flip on the outside where she was on the top rope and she flipped from the top rope to the outside, like it had that nasty like splat on the floor.
Her head definitely hit the floor and she got right back up. And
God bless her.
Well, the announcer, it was my boy Chris Brooks on announcing. He's like, yeah, she probably won't do that again if she wants to stick around. I mean, her head fucking bounced, dude.
They did not catch her at all. Like you said, she bounced right back up.
Fine, but yeah, so I did not know anything about this Neo Bishiki gun or whatever. And it's May St. Michelle, who is May Saruga, who I fucking love, and then Saki Sama, who is Saki Akai, who I really like. So I'm like, okay, what the hell is this? They're like French maids. So I looked into it, and yeah, I guess they're just this weird group that doesn't really wrestle a whole lot, and obviously they're under different names, but I was very entertained by this. I mean, it's not going to light the world on fire. It also had our girl Yuki in it. I mean, the two long-legged, beautiful goddesses of TJPW locked.
How could you not like it?
Yeah, come on. And I mean, Billy Starks, I think, looked really good when she got the opportunities aside from knocking her head. But I mean, she's 18, girl's going to be a fucking star. And I mean, it's great that she's, getting these big reps in over there. I mean, I still can't believe she challenged Sakazaki at 17 in the main event of Korakuen. Like, what a feather in your cap. But I think it's only a matter of time before old TK snatches her up, but I hope she continues.
Don't say that.
I hope she continues to go over there. I saw she just got scheduled with Rika Tatsumi, the new International Princess Champion. Not to jump the gun, but it's I believe a non-title match in America when they're doing the GCW versus TJPW. So that should be very interesting as well. But yeah, I thought this was a fun, rock solid,
for sure,
entertaining 3.5 star match here.
I gave it 3 3/4. Aja Kong versus Yuki Arai. Obviously, Aja Kong won round 1. I was kind of trying to decide how this was going to play itself out because I shouldn't say that Aja Kong won round 1. It was a tag match, but Aja Kong pinned Yuki Arai. This was a singles match, obviously, at Grand Princess. I guess this is the rub for Yuki Arai. Even though she lost this again, she still looked like it felt like it was more competitive, probably than it should have been. Aja Kong, obviously, a legend in this business. Yuki Arai is a very much of a fresh face. And it felt like this is going to be a story moving forward where ultimately Yuki Arai beats Aja Kong. It might not happen anytime soon. That's my interpretation of it. Did you get the same?
I think so, and I'm definitely a Yuki Arai guy. The first show I watched was that Summer Sun Princess last year, where her and Saki Akai. I'm an Akai guy and an Arai guy. They won the tag team titles, and it seemingly was like a mishmash pairing at the time. But I grew to really enjoy Yuki Arai, and she's got just that bubbling little schoolgirl kind of attitude from her. So that's why it was very interesting to see her against the beast Aja Kong. But yeah, this match went longer and was more competitive than I thought it would be. And it's 13 minutes is what I've got here. But yeah, I think definitely makes sense along the lines of what you're saying.
13 even.
Building down the road for a big win for Yuki Arai over Aja Kong. Otherwise, I mean, I guess I don't want to say what's the point because, like you said, like I still think she was put over here despite losing. Like she's going to come out of this stronger than she was coming in. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be upset if we didn't see it again, but I think it would be cool to see her get that win. But yeah, another solid 3.5er for me here as well. Like again, pretty much like every match on this show is like 3.5, 3.25 minimum. In a lot.
No, I agree up until the title matches, and then the title matches.
Yes,
kind of bumped up a little bit. That at least that's just me.
No, I agree. Yeah. So
let's talk about the title matches in Rika Tatsumi versus Miyu Watanabe for the International Princess of Princess title. 1831. I thought this was the match of the night. Up until this point.
Oh, yeah.
If I had to watch it again, I would probably say it's the match of the night. Don't get me wrong. I thought the main event was really good, but this was a match that I thought you had two, in kayfabe, you had two friends, arguably best friends, tag team partners. They won the Princess Cup, but lost the match for the tag team titles against, who was that? I guess that was Mizuki and Yuki Sakazari, thank you. And so you had that built into it. I thought the challenge was from right field, but you have a backstory behind it. Best friends going after each other for the title. I honestly didn't think that Rika would win this match, but as it went along, you can kind of see where there was chances for Watanabe to win it. Couldn't do it. The arm was what was it? The arm or the it was either arm or the knee. It was the knee because she couldn't do the swing at one point.
Yeah,
had to drop her to talk about Tatsumi at a certain point, but they ended up pulling off the swing and a nice little reversal. So I thought that was good. Miyu Watanabe is going to be fine. I don't have a problem with her dropping the title. For me, this is more of a check mark for Tatsumi. This gives her the Grand Slam in TJPW, so obviously she's won both singles titles and the tag team championships.
First one to do that, right?
I think it's the first or the second. I think it's the first. Don't quote me on that.
I think commentary mentioned it as the first because I certainly wouldn't know, but I think I remember hearing that.
So it's a huge deal in that scenario, and the fact that, like I said, for me, I think Watanabe is going to be fine. Either she wins it back at some point, which TJPW does have I don't think they make people wait, but it feels like once you lose the title, it takes a while for you to get back to that point again where you challenge for the title. So that could be an issue where she gets a second chance for the title. Or, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Miyu's one of the up-and-coming stars. And if you had her and, let's just say, a champion that shall be named nameless up to this point, because we haven't talked about this match, but if you had that champion and Watanabe wrestle each other, I might be down for that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Match was very good. I had the main event as my match of the night by a hair, but I was a little bummed that Watanabe lost. She's probably
I agree.
She's probably my favorite TJPW wrestler. I mean, we haven't really talked a ton in depth, about TJPW, and it's definitely the newest promotion for me. I mean, the two Miyus, Miyu Watanabe and Miyu Yamashita, I would say are my two favorites. And yeah, the match was awesome, but I was a little bummed. But yeah, that swing was great. I thought, interesting that both of these big matches were two tag team partners going up against one another. And I just, and we'll get to the main event. I just think the main event captured me more emotionally than this match did. But I had this at 4.25, main event at 4.5. Razor thin difference between the two. And Rika, nothing to take away from her. She's awesome. She was in the main event of that first show I watched with Shoko in a great match. So she seems to deliver every single time she's under the bright lights. And yeah, definitely a surprise win. I totally get, giving her that honor of being the first Triple Crown champ. And like you said, Miyu Watanabe will be just fine. I just think there was more juice to squeeze off this title run. And
I can see that.
But there's still someone like Maki Ito still hasn't won that big belt either. So, I feel like she would probably be before Miyu Watanabe at this point. I mean, I think it's probably down the line regardless. So, yeah, again, just slightly bummed about the loss, but very, very good match.
No, I agree. Both this match and the main event match had obviously backstories behind it, and they pulled on emotional strings in both ways. To me, it just depends on which angle you found more intriguing. For me, this was the more intriguing story. Like you said, razor thin difference. I just switched the star ratings. I gave this the Princess of Princes title match 4.5, the main event 4.25. Both matches were great. Both matches could have had you in tears if you were actually, emotionally invested into it. Hell, I was about to say the main event damn near had me in tears, and I was just kind of like, I wanted to watch the match just to see how it unfolded. But both matches I thought were really good. I thought they both told a story, two different ways to tell the story. First way is, the battle of attrition, you know what I'm saying? And in the main event, they told a separate story, but we'll talk about that in 30 seconds. The title match in between was the title match that we both thought was going to be a kind of a walkover for Wasteland War Party, and then Maki Ito Yamashita came in and was like, hold on here for a second. We're going to go ahead and take these tag team titles back over to Japan. And what is that? 1342, Maki Ito and Yamashita bring back the Princess of Princess tag team titles back from Wasteland War Party. Wasteland War Party looked like they had a little beef at the end where Maxie and Paler did not have nothing nice to say. I think she actually pushed down Heidi Hauser on the way out, if I remember correctly.
Heidi, yes.
So that might be something to watch out for coming back to the States if they actually have a match. If they do, the reason why. But I guess this kind of makes sense. It built up the tag team titles for a little bit, put a spotlight on Wasteland War Party before giving it back to Maki Ito, or not even saying giving it back to Maki Ito, but switching it over to Yamashita and Maki Ito. Was Wasteland War Party just a placeholder?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. I think they had the belt 60 days. They won it earlier this year, I believe. I don't even recall a title defense. I may have missed one, but
I think commentary said they had 3, but all 3 were over in the States.
Oh, interesting.
Or at least in the Western Hemisphere, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. But I like this. I mean, I thought the ending was pretty abrupt, but I mean, obviously you have the huge size difference here, and then you got Maki Ito's head gimmick and Yamashita just being a general badass. But I thought they clicked pretty well. Like I said, I was surprised by the finish, and I thought it was a little bit abrupt, but I did enjoy the match, and I am happy to see Maki Ito and Miyu Yamashita as tag champs because I think they're a very interesting, very different duo. And frankly, I think that's the most emotion by far I've seen out of Miyu Yamashita after that match, with big smiles all over her face because she's usually pretty stoic and cold. And man, she's got one of my favorite entrances in wrestling, by the way. I love her music and just how fucking stern and
that fucking spin kick, and then right throws the streamers in. I'm just like, she's gonna beat somebody's ass.
That look in her eyes, yeah. So I thought it was cool to see the more emotional side of her. And granted, I mean, she's maybe showed it in the past, but I'm less than a year in on this, and that's definitely the most I can remember out of her. So I think thumbs up to this partnership here, and let's give them a little bit of run with the titles.
Yeah, once again, commentary kind of played them off as, rivals and frenemies, I guess, for lack of a better term, in this scenario. So I'm interested to see how long this goes and ultimately who takes the titles off of them. And then in the main event, Yuka Sakazaki versus Mizuki for the Princess of Princess title, 21:02 from bell to bell. I thought Sakazaki was going to retain.
Me too.
I thought the front part of this match was really interesting because it felt like Sonata and Taichi all over again, where Mizuki was on the offensive, was really, taking the match to the champ.
Yuka was kind of resisting, though, which is what I thought was most interesting, is like she did not want to beat up Mizuki. And it was almost
best friends,
it was
tag
almost
team
like,
champs, the whole shebang.
Yeah, you've been giving it to me. You've been giving it to me. And all right, fuck it. If that's what you want, I'll give it right back to you. So, yeah, once that clicked in Yuka, I thought for sure she was going to win, which is why I think I was more into this match. And always, with someone like Mizuki, who, again, I don't have a ton of history here, but I know she's not won that belt yet. And she's had many opportunities. So, like, I could at least sink into that aspect of the story and what I'm seeing play in front of me of the champ not wanting to fight her and then basically breaking and saying, all right, bitch, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And Mizuki just kept coming back and kept fighting. And I thought this was really great.
No, it just plays into Mizuki's clear babyface underdog role, however you want to call it. I think commentary said this was the 5th time that she had a chance to win the title.
I remember that.
And finally got it through, and I was like, okay, that's what's up. At that point, I felt, once again, I don't care who won. I just wanted to see a good match, and this was, it went beyond my expectations. I'm with you. I didn't see a lot of Mizuki. I've seen Sakazaki enough to where, I got a general handle on who I think she is. Once she laid that forearm on her, where she was just like, okay, you know what? I'm done fucking with you. You have now pissed me off. And she kind of like sized her up and was like, whack out. I was like, you might have fucked up. You gonna fucked up. And I thought Yuka Sakazaki was going to win and retain. Like I said, I don't have a problem with Mizuki winning. This is cool. I don't think anybody came out for any of the 3 title changes to set up. Okay, so basically you had 3 title changes, but I can't remember the last time I've seen all 3 of major titles that change on one show, which is cool. I'm liking the fact that we're getting new blood in Mizuki, getting Tatsumi her check mark off for Triple Crown, and now tag team that I've always thought should have been a tag team, and now they finally decided to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. TJPW in a pretty good spot now, and like we said, it's not. I'd say of the 4 main promotions we cover, it's definitely the one we talk about the least. But man, it's really fucking good. Like I feel like every show I watch is always high entertainment, and I mean, the comedy stuff may not be for everyone, but it's just they're always just fun shows and always a good time to watch. And this one was, again, plenty of the matches we didn't talk about were all just very fun and interesting as well. So, high marks for me on this show.
No, I was going to say the one thing I do like about TJPW is the fact that their roster, the front end, the youth of this roster, the Yuki Arais, the Himamaris, there's so many young talent.
How about Moka Miyamoto? That match against Miyazami, I thought.
I thought that was. It was better than I. Yeah, better than I thought it was. She's slowly but surely on that incline. Suzumi versus Endo in the opener match. I thought those are 2 that are on the incline. So I mean, you have the established talent, but on that back end, you have such young up and coming talent. That's what I want to see. That up and young coming talent to really. That's going to really go and put the fish hook for me when it comes to TJPW, is because that up and coming talent, if I watch them grow, kind of like with Shota Umino. I remember when Shota was a young man, and now look at him. That's what I wanted to be like with this group, with TJPW. There's a handful of names that we just threw out there. There's probably a handful that we've probably forgotten about. But if it all comes to pass, and let's just say the majority of them become good, if not great, this will be a really fun promotion to watch. Looking forward in the next 2 or 3 years.
No doubt about it. Already is right now. But yeah, I think there's certainly room for growth here.
Oh, for sure. I was going to say, you keep having them come over to America, get the American eyes on them, and then to have those American eyes, get a good show, get a Grand Princess, something along those lines. You got something going. I think they were doing well before the pandemic, and then now they just have to kind of reboot it, and they're starting all over again. Now they're getting that traction.
No doubt. Yeah, and I guess, like I said, a lot of them are coming over here for shows soon. So, yeah, that'll be nothing but good exposure for them.
Yeah, I think Yamashita is going to be, if not in St. Louis, somewhere close to St. Louis. And, of course, I have to work.
I know she's going to be in Dayton, Ohio as well, which obviously I'm not quite as close to now, and I'm not going to go, but would have been cool, obviously.
No, for sure. She's on the checklist of wrestlers now that, I've seen, a first round. She's on that next round of wrestlers I want to see. I want to fly to Japan to do it, but God damn it, I'll do it if we have to do it.
Oh,
okay.
I imagine we'll get there at some point.
Oh, no, at some point, yeah. I was just getting ready to say that I just don't want to do it right now. I'm trying to save some of this grip before we fly over to Japan, and I got to get my fucking passport renewed. Thank you for reminding me. I got to drop that off to the mail. It's like right here, and I look at it every day. It's like, mail me. Exactly. So why do I need to mail you? Chill out, Mr. Passport. You gave me a homework assignment. I guess it was a couple days ago. This is just episodic homework assignment, for lack of a better term. Yeah, I just stole a little WWE word there. This week's episodic homework assignment, I'll let you set it up because you always set it up better than I do. You drop it in my lap because you watch it first. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the date here and all of that stuff. But I guess I'll just start with kind of what led me to this. Like I mentioned, Gato moved Choco Pro to you, which is Emi Sakura's promotion, which during COVID, and Chris Brooks has been heavily a part of that. During COVID, they started running shows in this building. It's really a room that reminds me of like a one-room schoolhouse, very, very small, compact, with a mat on the floor, bunch of weird shit on the walls. There's a window. There's a window you can go through. Anyway, like there was a match between them.
There was a chandelier at one point.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to talk about here. This was the Choco Pro. The Choco Pro is what reminded me of this. So it's called the Chris Brooks Produce Baka Gaijin and Friends Volume 3. So I'm pretty sure this is a show he promoted. And yeah, this reminded me a lot of Choco Pro, which he has been a part of, but it is literally in a bar. Like it is a bar.
He ain't lying. He is not lying. There is at one point Chris Brooks jumps off the bar, clips his head on the chandelier to like deliver a double stomp to and I'm just like, wait, the lights are on. What the fuck is going on? Dude, it's nuts. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And there's a small mat in the middle of the bar, and there's just tons of people surrounding them. So there's not much room to move.
No.
Like you said, you see Chris Brooks jump off the bar. You see him use like some piping on the ceiling to elevate people up. Like, I love just using what's in your environment. But
I was like, there's some stools there, man. Jump off that shit. Somebody hit somebody with the stool. Come on.
He drop kicked Maya into the stools. That's for She kneed his ass into the stool.
Yeah, like his neck hit like that stool towards the end. I was just like, that does not look good.
So long story short, even though it's already long, I just saw this match on Cage Match and it had like an 8.5 rating. And I'm like, shit, I love Chris Brooks. I'm starting to love Maya Yukihi because she's someone I didn't even know until 2 months ago. And now she's seemingly all over the place. But I'm like, okay, I can get down with some intergender. I'm always down with Chris Brooks. And little did I know it was just smack dab in the middle of a bar. I don't know. What would you say? Like 30 people or so there, kind of
give or take.
Yeah.
30 people in a bar surrounding the mat. I would say. So imagine the mat that you used to tumble on as kids in like elementary school.
Yeah.
Right. So you had a mat about that thin, about 7 feet long, because there was a couple of spots where, somebody got flipped onto the mat, or, like you said, Yuki got kicked from one side to the other and flew into the the stools or whatever the case may be. So it was about 7 feet. From that point, literally behind them was the physical bar itself. So when Chris Brooks got onto the bar, you could kind of see the bartender, or who I thought was the bartender, like to the right of him. I'm sitting there shaking my head like, I know this motherfucker is like, this is some of the craziest shit ever. I'm just trying to make some money. This motherfucker jumping off the bar, you know, like I said, clips the chandelier on the way down for the double foot stomp. I didn't think I would like this. I ended up liking this shit, man. It felt like a legit wrestling match to start, because it was like you really saw the stiff strikes, whether it was kicks or punches, both ways.
Kicking the shit out of him.
Man, I was just like, what in the fuck? I know that hurt. I know that hurt.
The first one he caught, he then jerked her up and hammered her with a backbreaker. Like,
okay.
And then right after that, he fucking whipped her up into that Boston Crab. It's just like, obviously, you don't see a 6'5" fucking gangly dude wrestle women a lot, but in the most like respectful way, he was ragdolling the shit out of her. But like, you just don't see those body movements like that. So like, it was just very unique in that aspect,
and especially in that small confined space.
I mean,
it felt like a legitimate match.
Yeah, people were getting hit. You know, like they would bump into the people at times, and you'd almost see people tumble out of their chairs. And there was a "This is awesome" chant at the end in English, which I thought was very cool as well. So like, imagine if you were in there, like how much fucking fun that would be to.
I would be the drunkest, loudest motherfucker. I'm like, get me in the front. Put me in the front.
3 feet from the wrestlers and sometimes touching them. And like, yeah, just such a unique atmosphere. And like you said, they went to war. I mean,
yes.
At the end when Yuki just started slapping the shit out of him.
I go, Don't say you better pay this woman his money.
There were some great near falls. Brooks hit a
good submissions.
He hit a
I thought one of the submissions, he was like reaching for the quote unquote ropes, and like the fan touched their hand, and the ref was like, all right, that's a rope break, get off her, Brooks. I was just like, that's not a rope, fuck it, that ain't no rope break, but fuck it, we gonna play this shit out. That's why it felt like, even though it wasn't a match, or I shouldn't say it wasn't a match, it wasn't a traditional wrestling match.
Yes.
Exactly. Those strikes, the kicks, the submissions, flips, the whole shebang.
It was a match.
Yeah. Like I said, there was a couple of times where I cringed like I would in a normal match. So yes, I'm not going to sit up here and say that it wasn't a match. It just wasn't a traditional match in a wrestling ring. What did you give it for a star rating?
Yeah, I was 4.25 on first watch. I might bump it up, but at 4.25 minimum. Because again, like
that's it, 4.25.
Yeah, like watching it again, like the near falls were so good, and from the bell, like it was a fucking fight. And again, just the unique atmosphere, jumping off the bar, like everything looked stiff and hard and crisp. Like, yeah, just so much fun. And just another beautiful nugget of what Japanese wrestling and just wrestling in general can be, because you don't even need a ring and ropes and 4 sides to do this.
Hell no.
You can just go to a bar, pop down a gymnastics match, and go to work.
I was going to say, as long as you train, you can go ahead and do that shit. I will sit back and drink a Budweiser and watch you break your shit. No problemo whatsoever. All right. I think we've covered it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was
it's
not really, it wasn't comedy, it was fucking wrestling, but just in kind of a comedic setting, because early on, Brooks tried to leave, and the door was locked, and he was kind of hooting and hollering, and all the fans were laughing a lot. So, like, again, when we don't know what they're saying and they're laughing, whatever they're doing is working. So I was on board with it. But, yeah, so much fun and very unique.
It was comedy, but it wasn't over the top. It felt like this was something that, God forbid, like this was a bar fight or this was a wrestling match or whatever the case may be. The biggest thing, I think, if anything, you have to be open to intergender matches.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, then this is not going to work at all.
For sure. But I thought,
as
far as intergender wrestling goes, this was excellent. Like I said, you get to see a much bigger and very, very tall guy just kind of throwing this girl around a little bit, but nothing hard. It's all within the scope of wrestling, but just, again, the body contortions. It's just shit you don't really see in a normal wrestling match. So that just was one other thing that's like, Man, wrestling's fucking tight.
Yeah, I was going to say, we went to this local show the other night, the Saturday night, and the Blues mascot got involved in the match, and me and some friends of mine were sitting next to each other, and we basically said the same thing. It's just like, you know what? This is wrestling in a general nutshell. It's one of the weirdest things that you would ever see live on TV, whatever the case may be. But damn, man, it's just so fucking fun. I catch myself just being entertained so much all the time. Go ahead.
So you're okay with the Blues mascot getting involved, but not Andreza Giant Panda?
I didn't say I liked it. I just said that it was, that was a part of the show. At that point, I was just kind of like, man, here we go. Yeah. Come on now. Whatever the fuck.
What about Andreza Giant Panda versus the Blues mascot? Now, that's a match I'd like to see.
Okay, so see, the Blues mascot is like, even with, the actual costume, let's just say he's like, 6'5", 6'6", it's kind of tall. This fucking panda's like 10 feet, man. I mean,
it's like a basketball hoop.
I'm not sure how the hell, at least for the venue that I saw the Blues mascot in, I'm not sure how we would get that son of a bitch in the door, much less what, they came up like through the steps or whatever. So, as you were sitting, we're on the balcony. So as you look down, there are two entrances. So they go inclining up. So you walk past, people as you walk towards the ring. So you couldn't have this fucking 10-foot, panda going that route. I mean, backstage with, there wasn't a lot of room back there. No way. I was going to say we'd have to have that in like a legit, whatever the Shapus Arena is here locally or wherever Raw is tonight, Scott Trade, same thing. You'd have to have that motherfucker in such a huge.
Wait, is Raw in St. Louis tonight?
Raw is in St. Louis tonight.
Oh, wow. And you didn't go.
You've been to one Raw. You've been to them all. At this point,
that's fair.
It's not a go-home show to Mania.
That's very fair.
And honestly, like we said before, AEW is next week. I'd rather watch that. And for just WWE purposes, the only show I haven't seen is SummerSlam. If I see that, that's my big four. And then I can die, peacefully as a wrestling fan, knowing I've seen all four live and in person. So that's what I'm waiting for.
Only done Mania at this point, so I'd say
shit. That's all you need.
Yeah, true, but I'd definitely like to go to a Royal Rumble, no doubt.
Royal Rumbles are fun. I was going to say, I've been to a couple, and I would be lying if I said I did not have a blast just because the Royal Rumble is supposed to be fun. You just don't know who's going to come out. But neither here nor there. Yep. Let's wrap this joker up. So just coming up, we kind of talked about a couple of dates to kind of circle. So let's talk about them again. Obviously, tomorrow morning, I think it's 3:00 Central Standard Time.
In like 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm debating on whether I'm going to stay up for this or not. I got a couple Red Bulls in the refrigerator, so just in case, I decided I'm going to do that before
That'll be a morning watch for me. I've got a 2:00 meeting with someone tomorrow, so I just know that's going to be my morning.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm stupid like that. I'll watch this shit and go work a double shift and then come back and be like, why am I so fucking tired?
I don't know how you do that.
I was like, why am I so tired? Oh, yeah, I was up at 4. So, yeah, the New Japan Cup final this morning, the 8th of April, is the Genesis show. Okada gets the winner of the New Japan Cup, and I'm sure there will be other matches as well. Hopefully, Bishamon and Aussie Open on that card as well. Yeah. I'm thinking the 16th, that is the Noah show. I believe that is the first title defense for Jake Lee versus Nakajima. That should be really, really interesting just because, like I said, Jake Lee's acting real crazy. He might want to take a look at Nakajima's last couple matches and start acting a little respectful of the former champion. And then on the Stardom side, you have I believe it's the 23rd of April in Yokohama. Big card, Julia versus Tam, Saya versus Mina Shirakawa part 2. As I say, I don't even know why I'm thinking tennis right now. I think what we talked about a third match, and I can't think of what that is off the top of my head. Let me cheat for a second. Shuri versus Hashimoto is the other match that we kind of wanted to keep our eye on. So three big shows coming up here in the next month or so.
Let's also not forget that Impact, or whatever they're calling it, Multiverse United. You know, going to be a lot of New Japan presence on that, and hopefully, maybe we'll be watching that together.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe that's I shouldn't say I believe, I know that's the 30th of March. Like you said, there's going to be some New Japan talent on there. Knock on wood. Hopefully we are watching that together, because I think that would be a drunken good ass time. Yes. I think we covered it.
Yeah,
I think we covered it.
We'll see. You know, those shows, you know, the 8th really isn't the next big one, but maybe we'll get one in before that, kind of previewing all those and talking about the Cup final, Multiverse. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll fucking record something when we're together next week. Who knows?
I was getting ready to say, I would not be surprised if there's something weird happening on the last week of March between you and I, because like I said, we'll have about 4 or 5 hours together to fuck around before AEW actually happens. Weird things could easily happen. I got all the equipment looking at it, so it could easily happen. But yeah, I would definitely say kind of look for the Phoenix to be flying around the middle of April, because I would definitely want to talk about the Cup final and then the Genesis show afterwards. And then, like you said, we can preview other shows moving forward. But on that lovely note, we will bid you adieu. I love this fucking song. For my man, Brett Jager, representing the Brainbuster Boys, I'm your humble host, the other humble host, Jason Cornelius Bell, representing the Band from Ringside podcast. We'll see you when we see you. Enjoy some matches, man. Go watch some wrestling. Go feed the cats, which I'm going to have to do so in a little bit. Outside of that, we will bid you adieu. We will see you on the next time for the next episode of the Phoenix Splash podcast. Say bye, Brett.
Bye-bye. Go watch Andrezza Panda, baby.
You better not go watch that motherfucker.
Andrezza Giant Panda, baby.
We'll see you next time. All right, we're good.
Clearing on mine.